Can you hear me okay?
Mhm.
Okay, then I'm fine with it. I don't need to be loud.
You have a very piercing voice, so like a banshee.
Thanks.
Gotcha.
It was built for recording.
So we're recording.
Yes, we're all
So we're
recording.
leaving all of this in
Yeah.
because our viewers really like it when we leave in everything that takes place in the setup in the beginning before we actually introduce the episode. So this one's for the ladies. This one's for the ladies.
Starting off real nice.
And we brought a lady in
Hey, that's me.
as a special guest for the lady episode. Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Becky.
Okay.
There you did it. Yeah.
And I'm Andrew.
I'm Harry.
Yeah, and we have some femininity going on this week.
This is not going. This is,
So we watched one film to start. I watched a film,
yeah, this is your fault.
and I did get this rolling, and I disliked it so much that I made Harry watch it, and then we decided we needed a female perspective for these three films. I'm not entirely sure what order is best to go in. I know what order we all watched them in because we all watched them in the same order.
I think that's the best way to go about it. Is
Okay.
by the order that we watched them.
Sure.
So,
That's just my feminine opinion.
Okay.
well, so it depends.
I think we have to start off with Lucky because that's what the catalyst was for all
Oh
of this
my God.
conversation.
Yeah, good point.
All right, so this
So
movie
yeah, so we got Lucky from 2020. This is
is that Hulu?
Yes.
yes.
No.
Was it or
No.
Shudder?
Oh,
It was Shudder.
It was
Amazon
Shudder.
Oh, that's right, because I had to get it for you. 'Cause you
Yeah.
didn't have
Yeah.
access, that's
So
right.
directed by Natasha Kermani and written by Bea Grant, and Bea Grant
Acted
is
in.
the lead actress in this movie as well.
Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The writer was the actress.
Well, that makes sense now, though.
Why is that?
I don't know. That it just had a very strong voice.
Opinion. Yeah.
And so it makes sense that someone with a strong voice would want to be the one to express the voice.
So that's a great way to start this off because should you make a film of your opinion when it's covering something that half of the world deals with?
Yeah,
Should you?
sure.
I mean,
But that means you're kind of like speaking for that half.
No, it's your opinion.
But they don't explicitly say that.
No, they don't.
And I mean, I know that, but you don't make movies to push.
your own particular agenda versus the agenda.
I mean,
of a
I
movement.
know that people do, but in some ways that is, I don't know. So
You feel like it's more of a self-gratifying project than it is an actual, like,
It's
this
not
is,
helping
this is
the
my
cause.
this is my opinion on, or this is my take on what's currently happening to women. This is more of like, hey, look at me, this is my thing.
Yeah, this is what I think is important, and I'm making a big statement.
So all
For the
all three of
females.
these films are post Me Too movement, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Me Too started off in what, 17?
Was it that long ago?
It's
Yeah.
been a hot minute.
Oh gosh.
I mean, think about when Spacey, because Spacey was kind of the start, even though
It was probably late
was
17, early
not-
18. Yeah.
No females were really involved there. That's kind of what got stuff rolling.
But the Rose McGowan stuff, that definitely was at least 3 years ago.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
2018 or
Yeah.
early 2018. So all these films are post the start of that movement. I know that it's still a thing, but I do think that it has been that it has changed, or at least the way it looks has changed from what it originally was. Who wants to talk about what the plot of this film is?
I mean, it doesn't really have a plot. Yeah, do you want to do rock, paper, scissors?
I didn't feel very lucky coming across
See what you did there?
this film.
Sir, I will have you walk out right now, please. How dare you? What? Okay.
So it's a gal, right?
Yeah.
And
She's married.
yeah,
She's a writer.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, as we progress through the film, well, it starts out pretty quick, right?
Yeah, she gets attacked pretty quickly.
Yeah. And then it's like, but it's a normal thing.
Right. Nobody but her
Yes.
thinks that it's weird.
Right. And it starts out with the very, like, direct statement of, yes, this is the man who comes into the house every day and tries to kill you.
Yeah. I mean, this
You,
is
us, you?
life.
He says you, right?
Both of us.
Both of us.
Yeah.
And now we have to fight for our lives.
Right, which
Yeah.
doesn't make sense in the context of everything else, but okay.
So the audience and the main character are in the same boat. They don't understand what's happening,
But
but
apparently
everyone
the
else
husband
in the
is
world, the husband,
Part of the people
police,
getting
her
attacked.
friends, they all accept it as a this is what's
And he
happening.
says that. He says,
does.
this is the guy that tries to come and kill us.
Does he say us, though? Maybe he says you.
No, because the husband does get killed.
Yeah, but-
so-
Whoa!
Oh, sorry. Whoopsies. Spoilers.
Whoa, guys. I mean, it's not like the husband being
smells
killed
in here 'cause somebody
completely
spoiled
throws
it.
off whatever message was trying to be said.
No. Well, anyway, it's not important, but that may be something that is important. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
But basically, the movie's like it's like Groundhog Day, but the idea is that there's a killer that keeps coming in the house. They have to kill him, and as soon as they kill him, he disappears.
Yeah.
Like he was never there.
Yeah, and then she calls the police, and the police come and they ask her questions, and then she seems to think that there's not enough reaction to the distress that she's going through by being attacked every night.
From anybody.
Right.
Not a single person.
No, not the husband,
Her
not
publisher,
the sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Not other women. Yeah.
Right.
All the other women also
Yeah.
make it seem like she's being hysterical. There's a lot of buzzwords
Do
in
they
this
say
film.
hysterical?
They do. I think they do towards the end. There's one that for sure that was like they were like saving that one.
Yeah.
There's not really a progression of events, right? Because the husband leaves almost immediately out
Yes.
of nowhere because
After,
he's
like,
like,
the
you're
second
being
attack or
crazy.
Yeah,
something
and
like
he's
that.
like, the last time you were like this, blah, blah, blah.
Couldn't talk to you.
So I'm going to go until you calm down.
Right.
And then she can't get in touch with him. Like it's like all guys just like disappear when the woman is being attacked by men that want to rape her
No.
and kill her.
Kill her.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so
It's not kill.
Yeah. No.
No.
It
well,
is.
in the
Yeah.
context of the movie, it is.
But that's
literal,
not what
that's
they're
not
getting
okay,
at.
So
No, but he does. They never talk about him like having the intention of like sexually harassing her.
Right, but that's how the world works. So
But that's different.
But that's
what they're trying to get across.
That's the allegory of the story.
I don't-
The actual story is yes, it's a literal killer, but the what it means.
because if it's just a dude that's trying to kill a woman, then this movie is completely different.
I guess
then.
I didn't think of it necessarily in the finite window of it being like a sexual attack.
I mean, it ends
Because
in murder.
I think, yeah, but I think that's the thing. I think the killing is killing in different ways. Like,
or is it
not necessarily like I feel like I'm always under the threat of being like assaulted and like somebody trying to like assault
you
me.
don't feel like it's like that?
I don't feel like it's specific to sexual assault.
Or just assault in general?
Just assault in general
Okay.
and like attack in general and murder in
Okay.
general.
I could-
General murder.
Yeah, general murder. Just like he looks like a general man.
Right,
Yeah.
he has a Invisalign mask, and then his face changes.
He kind of looks like the husband. Like for a long
Yes.
time, I thought that
I
it
thought
was
that's
the
what they were gonna
husband
go
in a
for.
mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
He looks
not.
stupid, is what he looked like. That mask was stupid.
Yeah, isn't that good?
And
What do you think they should have had instead?
I think they should have made a different movie
Okay, so
so that you didn't have to do that.
so basic plot, right, is the husband leaves, the guy keeps coming in night after night, she keeps killing him and evading the capture or her getting killed herself.
Yeah.
Nobody believes her. She keeps calling the police. They keep coming to the house. They keep asking her questions. Nothing happens.
And then it starts coming during the day
Right. And then it's like it could come from anywhere, not just at the house. It
Right.
comes like at different
when she's staying at
places.
other places
Right.
and that kind of stuff.
And everyone else is in on it except for her, and then at one point she just accepts it as there's nothing she can do about it. She's just going to do it. And then there's like a pivotal scene where she's in the parking garage and multiple women are being attacked by
Yeah.
different murderers that all have the same masks.
That's when they're really telling us how it is.
Right. That, and then she makes the statement, it's like, I can't help these women, it's only about me, I can only look out for myself.
How can I help all of them? There are too many. I'm only one person.
Right.
I
And
need
so
to help myself. Blah, blah,
story, the actual story of the movie and the metaphor, the allegory just starts like it turns into like it's just the allegory. There is nothing else. There isn't any. You can't just like look at the story for what it is. It literally is the message of what they're trying to get across. And so like there is no like characters or evolution of characters. It's just everyone means this, so this is what this means. And then at the end of the movie, she kills the husband comes back because she's accepted that this is what reality is.
I need a man.
She's calmed down.
Right, and she needs a man.
But she needs a man.
Right.
Yeah.
Because she just decided that she needs a man.
And then the
Because that piece of glass on the table is dangerous.
Oh, that's right.
Right. A lot of glass.
We could talk about that later.
So the husband dies, the murderer kills him, right?
Yeah.
And then she kills the murderer, and then she takes the mask off, and it reveals that the murderer's face keeps morphing into all the other men in the movie that have
I
existed up
just
to
figured
this
it was
point.
all men.
All men.
Yeah, it's all
Well, it
men.
is all men, but it is all the men that it was the police chief, it was the paramedic, all those people.
So why is he dead now?
He's not. She hasn't looked away from him yet. That's why he's still
right.
there.
She hasn't disappeared yet.
It's only when she looks
oh,
away
okay.
that
Let's
he's
talk
gone.
let's talk about that. She knew after like the second time that she couldn't leave and not look at him. And then she's like, "Oh, I need to go grab this."
No,
thing.
she hadn't figured
and
it
she
out
just,
yet.
No, she did.
No.
She totally did. Come on.
If she did, she wouldn't have put the stuff that she was going to use
It was always
so
out of
far
reach.
away.
It was always out of reach.
Yeah. But he disappears, but his blood is still there.
Yes.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then everybody's not believing
So what
her
is the
despite
allegory there? So if there's traces there, but
Does
there's
she
not enough
clean it up?
evidence. There's
Does it show her cleaning it up?
yeah.
Maybe that's part of it.
Or
That she still has to clean it up.
or it's conjecture. It's not actual like, well, this isn't hard evidence that this actually happened. Like we need to
No, it's like you made this mess and now you have to clean it up.
Oh, okay. That's I didn't think about I didn't analyze each scene trying to figure out what meant everything.
I didn't think about
so.
it until just now.
No, there's no deeper context.
I think they were
They
just trying
forgot
to show.
they forgot to clean up the
So-
blood from scene to scene, and they decided to
No,
incorporate it.
no. I think it was trying to like just show that effect of like she was the only one really seeing the evidence that he was
Right.
there.
Okay.
Despite
nobody else
the
was-
other ones were seeing it. She was pointing it out, and she was showing this is look at where he came in from and stuff like that. And they're all just like, yeah, but
So-
did you do this? Did you do it?
The question I think I have is if this is trying to be a satire, if this is trying to be an allegory or some sort of this art that represents what women go through each and every day, then wouldn't the main character be just like everyone else in the movie and not be self-aware and like the audience? Because if this truly is a commentary or satire, most satires are commentary. It's so ludicrous that you accept that it's ludicrous and you're like, oh, so I get what they're saying. Why would the main character be like, I don't understand what's happening? Wouldn't the main character be in on it almost? Like
Used to it?
within
In a
this
way,
universe,
yeah.
why wouldn't this character understand or immediately know what's going on?
Well, it seems to me like it was a new thing, like
Right.
at the beginning of the film.
It just started happening.
Yeah, it started
and
happening.
she's in her 30s.
Yeah.
And she's been married. We don't know how long she's been married for.
But like the first time it happens is the first time that she's like, "What?"
Right.
And then from there on, she recognizes that this is the second time this has happened. This is the third time this has happened. So I guess I got the feeling that like there was a hard beginning.
Which is unfortunate because that is and I know that's her experience, but what that's doing is it's taking away from
I had an idea. That's why I felt like that.
it's taking away from like that women are experiencing this at a much younger age than that.
Yeah, there was a
Like,
really
as we just talked about earlier today with
there was
know,
a
people
great
streaming and
IMDb
stuff like
review
that.
of this movie, and it said that this movie is incredibly alienating to the fact that it's suggesting only adult women face this struggle, which is not true
It
because
starts so young
it starts
for
very
women.
younger, and you're almost getting rid of an entire audience or giving a voice to other people that are affected by this, because only majority, I don't think there was even people of color or women. It was only white women in this movie.
Her sister-in-law is.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
it's
Yeah.
like.
But
Indian
but that's
or-
the same. The idea is that you're not representing the whole group of people that are affected by this issue. So, are you speaking that this is only her personal experience?
Well,
or...
they do bring up that she realizes it starts happening after that night in the parking garage.
Mhm.
And so I guess maybe it's something where that's like her epiphany was
Right.
in the parking garage when she felt threatened the first time or something like that. But
I don't
everybody
know.
else knew it was going
But
on
that happens
already.
so late in the movie too. That's like almost the last 20
Yeah,
minutes.
but they do bring it up that like when she's answering questions one time,
Mhm.
the cat's playing with the
I'm
light.
watching the cat almost knock over the light. It's gonna happen.
But no, you're right. When she's giving her talk with her book, early in the movie, the other women that are asking her questions about her personal experience, yeah, she almost feels like she's kind of subdued or kind of numb to the, like, she hasn't seen any of this happen, so she can't really attest to it until it starts happening to her.
Yeah. Well, and the book is a whole nother thing too. Like because she's the type of writer that like what is her book
She's
about?
like self-help or
yeah,
something like that.
it's like
Yeah.
about it's like take what you want or like go it alone.
Go it
Ah,
alone.
Yeah.
That's it,
yes, yes, we unlocked it, right? But anyway,
I think that's the problem. Is it's so on the nose. It's so it's muddied by the fact that it's not completely a satire. It's not completely an allegory, because you have a character that's in the real world within this fake world of a guy trying to kill her every night, which represents
Yeah.
being assaulted, I guess.
the
but-
danger that women deal with on a daily basis.
yeah, but the thing is like it's presenting the problem without any solution. Like to me,
Right.
the whole movie is just like a complaint, and there's no.
That's a good point.
There's no like, hey, this is what we need to do about this, or this is how I'm
Or-
going to overcome it. It's like, oh well, I guess this is just how life is, so I'm just going to
Well,
do this day
that's
after
one of
day.
that's one of the big points, right? That everybody that a lot of people's reaction is like, oh, this is just the way
This
things
is just
are.
how it is. This is
These
just
are
what
just
we
the
have
way
to do.
things are.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's not talk about the fact that it's gotten a lot better over the last 50 years.
Well, or that
let's
we
not talk
could
about that.
like that people can help each other.
yeah, it's
And,
still
like-
bad. Yeah, it's still bad, but
But when you see somebody else going through something, the answer isn't, oh well, we all go through this, so I just got to take care of myself. Like, and that's that whole parking garage
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, people can make the argument. Well, that's the extreme satire version of course, that's not real life. People should help. That the message is go the opposite of that. People should help each other in times of strife, or when you see something happening, you should wake up and say, "Hey, that's wrong. We need to call that
Yeah,
out."
And
But
not
that's
just
the problem
women, though. Like,
when
you
it's-
should give the message that it's okay for men to do that, too.
Right.
When they see a woman that is going through something like that.
But that's the problem, is that it rides that line between reality and this fake satire killer world where it's the same thing we've discussed in previous podcasts. It's like, well, I want to make a movie in the post Me Too movement talking about the troubles of being a woman in the modern era. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
great. Well, we can't make a normal movie like that because nobody will watch it. Let's make a horror film and use that as the message. Or like,
horror film.
so let's watch, like, I want to make a dinner party movie, but we can't make, nobody's going to fund that. So let's make a movie with a meteor that comes across and makes, it all mystical for no reason.
are you talking about something?
Oh, compliance.
Oh, God, God, does that
Did
have,
you see
it has
that?
I
over
haven't
7.
seen
It
it.
has
Oh,
over 7.
that's awful.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. What it feels like is that the writer went on all these like blogs on the internet and took little snippets of people's stories and like, well, I got to fend for myself, so I'm not going to take care of everybody else's problem, and just made shit up instead of it being like a collective voice. They just take little parts of like shit online instead of taking actual like cases and things that are happening on a regular basis and bringing attention to that. But I think that's what you're talking about, where it's like, well, it needs to be a horror movie, otherwise it won't sell. If it's just about the Me Too movement and a dinner party.
Well, except for that, then I guess I felt like it was just trying to take like this obvious extreme of like something that is universally upsetting to people, and saying, okay, this is universally upsetting,
So,
but
so this modern
these-
thing should upset you just as
yeah,
equally
but
as
nobody
that.
else is getting upset about it.
Do you feel like it's disingenuous because the message or the idea is kind of not as strong as the other two movies we're about to talk about? Do you feel like this writer, this actress, is trying to cash in on this craze, or do you feel like this is her actual, like, this is her opinion, but she's trying to do it in an art form? Like, is it art versus somebody just trying to sell something? I don't know.
I feel like it was like purely intention of making a statement,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like because of the way the statement was presented and because of the choices that were made in the other, in the character reactions and the resolution of the film, that it was insulting.
Okay. Well, that's fair. I mean, I think the idea is like it's just not quite there, and that's why it's kind of annoying or just kind of stupid. Like if they had gone all the way with the whole satire looniness of it, do you think it would have succeeded in its goal of like, hey, look at this piece of art and see what it's trying to come across as, and maybe kind of not necessarily buy into it, but give this issue the proper light that it deserves, but also try to be poetic with presenting it as a satire?
I think there would have been a different way to do that. I don't know what it is, but not having a man come to try and kill you every day. But then also, when you look at it too from the book perspective, it wasn't just like this, it was also her getting the pressure to write another book, and then her publisher being kind of like,
Because it was a man.
yeah, being kind of like whatever about that too. He comes knock on her door and she looks terrible because she's not gotten any sleep.
Right.
And he's just like, good news. They want you to write another book. You're so lucky.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I don't understand the point.
Do you
of
get
that
it?
Stuff.
Do you get it?
No.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like, I think then it's like trying to take even more of like this message and pull it in. It's like, oh, well, we're not getting attacked just by men, like by feeling physically threatened, but also in the workplace by being like, belittled or like.
In what way was the guy belittling her?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess it wasn't belittling as much as it's just like being really apathetic.
From what I understand, that's the book industry.
Well, but
That
that's
it
her,
is that
but
way.
that's her job. And then that's the thing, though, is like maybe female writers have different environment than male writers.
It's
Okay.
very
Yeah.
possible.
You
but,
know what I'm saying?
But I don't feel like that's what we're supposed to take from it at the end of the day, is that like female writers are being treated differently than male writers, because you didn't give us an example of how male writers were being treated.
No, right.
Just like you didn't give us an example of any comparisons whatsoever with all these things that you're trying to say. Like,
Yeah.
even the women, so I guess that's what throws me off in that one scene where they have all the people coming to her, which is probably the best scene in the movie.
What is the one after she wakes up and the EMT's there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the EMT.
That's the only scene I
It's
like.
the
Because
only
it's
one
so
that's halfway
it's so
decent.
ludicrous, and
Yeah.
it goes full satire. Like,
Exactly.
it's so over the top.
Yeah.
We get it. We get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. The whole movie should have been like that, because then it's like, oh, I understand what they're going for.
Right,
There is
right.
no real story. This is an allegory for what we're going for, rather
Yeah.
than trying to play the middle ground and trying to get people, or like have the twist reveal, which the reveal is already within the first 20 minutes with the killer.
I don't think. Yeah. it is.
He's wearing a goddamn clear looking mask.
Yeah. That's because
Who did we think it was?
He could be anybody.
I mean, like, the thing is, I think that Harry and I have watched enough horror movies that because we knew that it wasn't any of the characters that we're meeting, because they're not putting any emphasis on anybody but to say the husband, that you knew it was all men within the first 20 minutes.
Well, right.
Or
and
it was,
you don't
or
have
it was
any-
going to be nobody, or you were
Right.
never going to find out who it was,
Or you-
because
Yeah.
that's the thing.
I guess I thought maybe it might have been the husband until the husband showed up again.
But it
Just
didn't make any
because they
sense,
put so
because
much
right from the
emphasis on him
beginning,
being gone
they
the
like
whole time.
fight each other,
Yeah, but
like in the same room.
yeah.
So it didn't make any sense.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Because it's too literal. Like
Yeah.
the scenes are too literal to be taken as indirect.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not supposed to be seeing something else. It's like, no, this guy's being attacked by this guy that's invading their house. Like, this is not, it's not an allegory. This is not a a metaphor. Like, this is actually happening.
So are we supposed to take the idea is that the husband is the only good man in the entire?
But he's not, because
But
he
he's not.
leaves.
He leaves
Right.
because she's not being
But he comes back
rational.
just
Yeah,
to be
but
murdered.
he doesn't answer her
But it's
calls,
like a week.
and he doesn't like. It's like he's like gone. Like has no part of anything until all of a sudden he decides to show up again.
I mean,
and then die. Shows up and dies.
He get killed.
He gone.
He gone.
I guess there's just something to be said about when you do something so overt and you don't have a lot of subtlety in your movie, then it becomes you ride that line dangerously of alienating your audience because the audience feels like you're talking down to them. And you don't want to do that with a movie where the message is incredibly important and relevant in the modern era, and that needs to, people need to talk about it. People need to express, hey, this is fucked up and we need to do something about it, rather than just like, let's make this piece of art, and then it turns people on it because they're like, well, I'm not going to believe this, or I'm not necessarily not going to believe this movement, or I'm not going to be invested in this problem because this movie makes light of it, when it doesn't. It's just the message
Just doesn't capture it correctly.
right.
Yeah, and it doesn't say like it. Yeah, it's just like, oh my gosh, isn't this a terrible thing that we? But I don't know. Part of me then too was like, you know what? Like, I know that it is like a woman thing, but there are lots of other things that are
Right.
like, there are other types of like groups of people that go through that same stuff.
Well, right. They're not commenting on transgender people dealing with assault because that apparently that is a real issue. There's
Or
a lot.
immigrants in Europe right now.
I mean,
Right.
It's
There's a
just-
lot of
it's
there's a
all-
lot of different groups that are affected
Yeah.
differently, and
Yeah.
we can't just comment on every world problem. But there is something to be said about assault and sexual assault and how that is it's still an issue, and it's still a major issue as far as a lot of groups being affected by it. But how do you illustrate that in a movie, especially? I mean, yeah, it's not the movie's fault that it only chose
because
one area to
everybody's
focus on it.
aware of it.
Yeah,
like
but
we
then-
all know it. So
Right.
how can you make it bring your message out in a way that I'm like, shit,
Well,
like, damn, that really hit the spot.
But-
Like you not that way, but like that you really got to me with your message. And how do you do that? You make me invested in the character.
You
Yeah.
develop
And there
real,
are
yeah.
no characters in that film.
No.
Not a single person is an individual in that film.
yeah. Well, and that's the thing, is like, I think that it's more impactful if you present that message, but the solution isn't go it alone.
Yeah.
Like, just deal with it every day.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not.
I guess their message there is like, that's obviously not the real thing you should do. You should go against that.
But nobody
but-
else in the movie
Right.
says that at any point.
Yeah.
That she should go it alone.
No, that
Or
she
that she
shouldn't.
should seek help.
Or
It's
that's-
everyone's reinforces the idea that you should
Right,
go
that
it
she
alone.
should go it
Yeah.
alone.
So can we talk about broken glass?
Sure.
You go right ahead.
Okay, because
she read way more into this,
This
than
is
I
something
did.
that I thought was like maybe an attempt at a theme or a motif.
I mean, they did
Right?
show it multiple times, so I would
Because
assume that it is.
They do have some scenes. So after the first night that the man who comes to kill her every day shows up,
Mm-hmm.
he broke the window to get in.
But doesn't the glass show up before that on the table, like when they're
Yes.
just the very first scene
Yes.
of the movie?
Yeah. So the first scene, they're like eating
Yeah.
on the couch or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the broken glass is on the table, and she picks it up, and she's the one, I think, that says like, "Oh wow,
This is dangerous."
This could be really dangerous." And then she puts it back on the table, right? And he's like, "Whatever." And then, yes,
Oh, okay, keep going. I'm interested.
okay.
Because I don't know what the hell the glass is for.
Well, and so then then the attacker comes, and then they do a little bit of emphasis on the broken window, and she has somebody come and help her. Like, she's like cleaning it up,
Yeah.
and she's looking out the window. Somebody's maybe outside or something like that, and then they have her friend or her sister-in-law or somebody comes and helps her board it up,
Yeah.
and then she goes over to sister-in-law's house to stay, and there's a little crack in the window there that she like pushes on. For whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And then the sister-in-law breaks her wine glass. Or no, she breaks her wine glass at her sister-in-law's place.
Uh-huh.
And then that piece of broken glass on the stupid table shows up like 3 more times, and everybody says the same thing. But what in the world is that all about?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, I thought you were going to enlighten us.
I don't know what it's about.
Because it doesn't mean anything.
But obviously they were trying to do something.
Yeah, they probably just like, oh, it'd be cool if we like did some sort of theme with glass and like how fragile our lives are and.
I thought it was literally going to be like a time travel thing with the killer. Like it keeps showing up because of his like impact on the world, but then like she was almost self-aware of it in the first scene, and then she didn't know what And at the end, she uses it to kill him, right? So
does she?
Yeah.
Oh, I wondered if that was.
Yeah, that's how like it ended.
And maybe that's
she
what they were
finally
trying to
ended
go
it
at.
because she took the glass and killed him. But it still doesn't make any sense
No.
because I don't know what the importance of the damn glass is.
And I didn't really even think about it until she had gone to the sister-in-law's and pushed on that little piece of, and I was like,
maybe like a mirror. I mean, I
What
can make
is
more of
that?
an argument for like pieces of a mirror.
but they they never show reflection or anything. But yeah, it was there, but I don't know what it.
See, now
why
what
it
she
was
should have
there.
killed him with was a can of Axe body spray. And then we would have gotten our point across.
That's
If
right.
she's just seeing Axe body spray
That's right.
everywhere
Yeah.
throughout the movie, it's like, that's
No.
what men do. That's what we do.
The killer should have worn a fedora and had a neck beard too.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
well, I mean, what else? What else could we do? I mean, like, if you're gonna do this, yeah, exactly. Go overboard.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
satire. Like,
Yeah.
what do guys like? Because we're gonna talk about one of the films that kind of does that, but it's like, well, what do dudes do when they're around other dudes? Like, what are they like? Do they talk about going breaking into a woman's house?
No.
Do they do that? I
Do
mean,
you guys
I'm
do
sure
that?
some people do.
Not
Um,
normally, no.
Okay.
In the locker room, we do talk
It was
about
Oh,
every-
locker room
it
talk,
used to-
I
when
get
he
it.
lived here, it was every other Tuesday, but we don't see each other as often. So.
Yeah. So I guess that's the problem, is just that the movie doesn't really know what it wants. It knows that it wants to be provocative and tackle this message, but it does it poorly, and it goes in a wide breadth of attacking the whole issue rather than going into a microcosm like the other two movies do. They attack a specific issue, a specific place, and that's where it shines, because they can provide real insight on what it is to be a character or be a real person in that real environment. And yeah, it's just bad. It's lame. It's
I think it does the opposite of what it's trying to do.
yes.
So do you think what happened was that it kind of like maybe started off as like an idea, but nothing was ever fleshed out, and then they got money to make a movie, and they're just like, oh shit, well,
It could also be like one of
let's
those
make it.
George Lucas ordeals where she wrote it and she's acting in it. Nobody's going to tell her that maybe we should try something different with this, because this doesn't sound, or this doesn't make sense for what he like. Well, no, we can't say anything, because if we say something, then we're being sexist, or
Well, and then
know.
you have like, it's hard to have perspective when you're the
Right.
as a director, when you're the person that's doing the stuff. So
Sure.
then you don't really have that.
Well, she didn't direct it.
Oh,
Well, right.
I mean,
but,
I'm
but
sorry.
She
yeah.
wrote it and she
Yeah.
acted in it.
And
yeah.
so you don't really have that ability to like step back and see it, how it's being presented,
Right.
and say like, oh, maybe this isn't really what I was going for.
Oh yeah, I doubt there was many changes to
Yeah.
her screenplay.
Yeah. So I think maybe that was a faux pas as well.
Yeah.
I don't think her talent was
No,
necessarily
it's
bad.
not an incompetent movie. It's shot fine,
Yeah, the
and
cinematography is fine.
the acting is okay for what it is. It
Like as a movie, it fails.
yeah.
Like it is not entertaining. It does not get a message across. Like, so let's say like 12, short-term 12, right?
Yeah.
Like you watch that movie and you feel something at the end of it, and maybe something that in a category that you know nothing about, right? Like like growing up in a halfway house, essentially, or a
Foster care.
foster care, but you're living in this, it's called short-term 12, right? And so, like, I watch that film and I go, shit, like, they did a really good job
Yeah.
of making me understand
Yeah,
Right.
Sympathetic to that
how
cause
much
and living
somebody
in that
can
world.
be affected, and not just like, and the different types of things that could, like, hey, like we're speaking about assault and sexual assault, two of the main characters deal with that, and they don't throw it in your face. It's just something that she's that still affects her, even though she's like gotten past it. It's something that she thinks about on a daily basis. It affects her relationships, and it did. And that's not even the whole part of the movie. That's
Right.
just one of the characters or two of the characters' situation. And I still felt way more from those two characters and what they had to deal with and what they, clearly went through at a young age than I ever got from that entire film that was clearly focused on that one thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was no good.
Don't
The
watch it.
assistant.
Okay.
Yeah. Kitty Green, 2019.
Is
I
that what
believe.
her name is?
Yeah, so she is mainly a documentarian. She made Casting John Bonet.
Oh, wait. Okay, okay.
The director.
I
yeah.
did
Really good movie.
Casting
was
John
good.
Bonet was good.
So this is I think her first actual movie, live action. She wrote and directed it.
Definitely not action.
No.
It is very slow paced, which is
who
okay.
else is in this? Julie Garner from Ozark and
Yeah.
Waco. She's the main character,
didn't-
Jane.
I recognize the HR guy.
And the HR
That's
guy
it.
is Matthew McFadden. He's been in Pride and Prejudice and some other
Pillars
movies.
of the Earth.
I don't know what that is.
Ian McShane,
Ah, right.
Eddie Redmayne.
Okay, sorry.
Before anybody knew who he was.
So the assistant.
Sound like Kermit the Frog. The assistant.
So takes place just within a day in the life.
Yeah, it's one day. Oh,
Yeah.
is
No,
it
it's
one
one
day?
day.
It's one day.
I thought.
No.
Because she doesn't go home. She gets up and she rides the bus or whatever, rides a car. She's in a car.
And an Uber,
Blah,
and
blah,
then she goes to work,
And
and
then
then
she
it
goes to
shows her finishing out her day at the coffee shop. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
weird. It doesn't feel. I mean, it does when you're watching it, but
It's a long day.
yeah, it's almost in real
But
time.
she gets there really early.
I know that. I just.
Yeah, it's just one day, though.
I know it's when
Okay.
you think about it.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to think that, I thought there was a point where she actually, left and came back, but maybe not.
And so her job title, she's a assistant / secretary for a production firm in New York.
Yes.
It's a
Harvey
it's a
Weinstein.
movie production firm, and it's heavily implied that her boss is Harvey Weinstein.
I mean, it's.
What else implies it?
Well, he's a producer.
Okay.
So he's a producer, and the whole idea is that he's bringing in actresses to
Yeah.
give them parts.
Interview,
and,
but-
and,
Yeah.
and they're getting these parts by.
But is there something else that
Yes,
points
there-
it specifically
all
at
the
Harvey?
different posters are dramatic films that kind of like what
Okay.
Miramax did, and
Okay.
then when she's stocking the medicine cabinet, she's stocking a particular drug that treats impotence. So
It's right in there.
yes, and there's a heavily imply that Harvey Weinstein was impotent.
Yeah,
so.
I didn't. I don't know a lot.
Yeah,
Right,
about
I
think
had to
there's
look it
one-
up. I
one-
literally, they don't give you any of this in the movie. I think that's why it's so good.
Yeah.
It's all
I forgot
subtext.
whose
And you have to look
story
it
it was.
up.
I think it's Uma Thurman's story about Harvey Weinstein, and she's like, "No, really, it was just pathetic."
Yeah,
Like that, because he couldn't, he was just trying to get aroused, and he was struggling,
yeah.
and because she was pushing him away. So, it's really disgusting. The whole story is really gross, but that's the only way he could.
But I did think that was strange that she was stocking the syringes, and
Yeah,
so
so I had to look it
oh.
up what the name was because I didn't understand what that was.
I was like, well, maybe he's like.
Did you say it was injected right into the urethra?
No,
Oh, okay.
I don't
That's
know
good.
where you inject it.
I
but-
just thought maybe it was diabetic. Or
right. That's
something.
what I thought at first, but then I looked up the drug. I'm like, oh, so that's what that is.
Yeah.
But it's brilliant because you never see him. He's always on the phone.
Yeah.
They
You
never
hear his
show
voice.
him.
No.
Yeah. It's actually the voice of Shooter McGavin
Ah.
from Happy Gilmore.
Hey.
Not the actor I
McDonald,
looked up.
whatever.
Not the actor I looked up.
Oh gosh.
I
Do
mean,
we really have to do this right now?
if
What
you
would
want to
we
be wrong,
do
it's totally
if
okay.
we
Oh,
didn't have the information at our fingertips.
IMDb, baby.
What does this say right here on his name? Hold on.
No.
Are you sure he's not some other part? Wait, who's that?
It's the guy from Happy Gilmore.
That's not the guy from Happy
No, it's
Gilmore.
not. That's a different guy.
Oh, wait a minute. No, that's the guy from Angels in the Outfield.
Holy
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
crap.
They look
Wow.
so
They
similar.
do not look similar.
Yes, they do.
That guy has a very clear, wavy,
I'm
weird
sorry.
hair.
Excuse
Come
me.
on.
Yeah.
They
Wow.
look very similar.
Sorry.
Sorry, the guy from Angels in the Outfield.
Andrew 12, Harry 0.
No, it's
still.
more like 132 to my 0.
No, you got a couple. You got a couple in there.
Kitty cat.
A cat has joined. cat has joined.
Join the server.
Um,
So yeah,
all one day.
Mm-hmm.
She gets there early. She's an assistant. He has 3 assistants at least.
She's wearing some they're like flood pants. She's wearing some flood pants.
I don't know.
I would not have known what they were called, of course.
I just noted what she was wearing
Uh-huh.
to see if that was supposed to be something.
Significant.
Yeah. I don't think it was.
It's very interesting because her character is extremely dull.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's not because you don't actually know what her character even is.
What do you mean?
But
that
who
because
she
of
is, or...
because she feels so subdued there and like has to watch what she says and does and
that she's not herself.
that she's like you never get to meet her
Yeah.
Right.
because she's at her job.
But
she's
doesn't
not
that
able
make
to do
her
that.
even more of like a
She's the every
you
woman.
can be every
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and
It's
I
on
think that's
purpose,
what's done so well is that they give us a reason for why she is that way.
Yeah.
Instead of just no character.
Well, and that in itself is a statement of like, you know, sometimes when you're in those types of situations, you have to suppress all of
Right.
who you feel like you are as an identity because of,
And the less you stand out, the less you are a target
Yeah.
of, you know.
Well, and the few times, and it's perfect because the few times that she does try to stand out and do those things, she gets yelled at.
Yeah.
She waves at the wife, or no, wait, I'm
the
thinking
girl.
about.
No.
What
I
did
don't
she,
remember.
she got yelled at twice.
She listens to the wife on the phone because
Yes.
she's trying to be empathetic.
and,
like,
Right.
and she says like, well, maybe it's this or maybe it's
Right.
that.
And then he's like, "Why are you putting ideas in her head?" And
Yeah.
then the next one was with his the girl that watches his kids, the nanny.
Oh,
right?
that's right.
I don't remember what it was. Oh no, he yells at her 3 times because of the HR guy.
Yeah.
He says, "I'm not mad.
Yeah.
I just want to talk to you about this." So he yells twice, and then the last one is
Twice.
stern. Like,
I think that the stern is in between. Like, I just think you have a lot of potential. That's the big one.
okay.
It's
I
like,
don't remember. I
So
mean,
he calls her back, and it's like that. Oh, a little time has gone by now, because the whole idea is like you yell. It's like an abusive relationship, right?
He yells. She sends the email.
And then a little bit later, he calls her back, and
and
he's
that only
like,
happens the
"Hey,
one
I
time.
only yelled at you because
You're so good at your
you're
job."
so good." Even though he literally is yelling at her, saying, "Why don't you go back to ordering salads? Because that's what you were good at." It's like, but that's what an abusive relationship is.
Right.
Like somebody goes home to their spouse, the spouse yells at them, either physically or mentally abuses them, and then after everything is calmed down, it's. Oh, I got you. I'm so sorry. You know how much I love you. I only do it because I love you.
No,
It's like,
I thought of it was more of a representation of like she needed that job, or she felt like she needed the job.
well, that doesn't explain why he was doing that.
No,
I'm talking about him.
Oh.
I'm talking
No,
about his reaction.
Right.
Yeah,
The
I
only
was
reason why
like-
she puts up with it is because she needs the job. But
Yeah.
but Andrew's
But
right.
the
with
way
But I'm
he
saying
reacts, I see what
he
you're saying.
is using that technique as a way to also keep her around.
Yeah, yeah.
It is not because if he only yelled at her, you
Right.
get the impression that maybe she would leave.
right? Yeah,
And incorporating the idea with the emails, then it gives him physical proof when somebody goes after. Like she's like, he was yelling at me all the time, and then it shows that she was in the wrong.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If he. Because they're not recording the phone calls,
Yeah.
so the only thing recorded is her response
yeah.
to the
But
thing.
then he even says the one time, "Send me an email."
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Document it.
I didn't even think about that until you just said it.
Yeah.
Documentation.
They used to have us do that at Anheuser-Busch.
Oh,
Well, yeah. I mean, like, certain jobs you do want documentation, but for his case, he wants it as a way to like cover his.
Yeah, cover
well,
his
Cover
I
his
felt
ass.
like it was a power thing though too.
It-
of, like,
yes, it
I
was.
need this apology.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
And it's obvious that he does it with the other 2 assistants.
right? Because they
Because
say,
they're helping her.
yeah,
So
At one point, I thought she and the other guy go over to help one of the guys write his. I thought maybe that
no, they've
I
always
just made
helped
it up.
him.
It was a dream.
So I think I wanted to address the boringness of this movie.
there is no score whatsoever.
No.
And that I think lends
Emphasizes
itself
it.
to
It's a
yeah.
boringness.
It's very, I'm sorry, mundane.
Yes.
Because I wasn't bored.
No, neither was
I
I.
did not
And
feel
I feel
bored.
like that's immediately when somebody watches this movie, they're like, nothing happens. It's boring.
Well, there are, no matter what you say, people are going to feel that way.
sure, but I think there's something to be said about that she takes because she is a documentary filmmaker, Kitty Green. I feel like she brings that into this real world and uses real world things like getting coffee, making your lean cuisine, cleaning up the couch after the guy sexually assaulted the woman.
Well,
doing all
what's
these.
she cleaning? I don't understand.
Right, so it's treating all this.
Oh, I was
off the
being
desk?
No,
I was being
yes.
facetious
Oh.
about what she was
But
cleaning on
when
the
she
couch.
first enters
Did she
in
clean on the
she
couch?
cleans the stains on the
she's
carpet
cleaning
and stuff.
sex stains off the couch.
Oh, I didn't think of that. I thought
Yeah,
she was
no,
just
she had like
cleaning.
gloves on and was like scrubbing it.
I don't know. I think it speaks to the idea of treating something normally and mundane, then makes it even more horrific.
That's what's scary.
Like-
it's
Yeah,
frightening.
but are you sure that's what that was trying
Well,
to say?
at one point he says, "You probably don't want to sit on that couch."
Yeah. It's very obvious that's what's going on that couch. And it's like a casting couch. So it's kind of like
Because if that were the case, wouldn't she bring that up to HR instead of this other stuff?
No, because she can't prove it, just like she can't prove anything else.
Yeah, but you wouldn't include that in the information?
Listen,
like, that seems like
the
some
HR
important
scene is the
information.
worst scene in that movie.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that too. Okay. Anyway, I
Yeah.
didn't. I just thought she was cleaning.
Well, at first I thought I was too, but then
Yeah.
and then I'm like, why is she cleaning the couch and why is she cleaning up like champagne glasses and stuff?
Well,
and then,
because he's party and he
Right.
eats at his desk and
Well,
stuff
where
like
do you
that.
think they're
I don't
having
know.
sex when they go in that office?
I don't know.
and
on the
it's- and it
desk?
shows at the end because they're close to the window when she sees it in the window.
Which I also like
So.
that you can't really see what's going
No.
on. You just see like the
And that's
Just
bot-
movement.
shadowy,
Yeah.
and that was something that I really enjoyed about the film was that it never actually like
Tells you
allowed
what's happening. Yeah.
to like you felt kind of the same way she felt, where it was like you're just kind of
If you keep yourself distance, and that's what she was doing.
Yeah.
She felt like if by keeping herself at a distance, that she is not responsible in a way.
Right.
but also that you are never really absolutely certain of
Right.
what's
Right.
going
There's
on.
that era of doubt that's like, well, I can't really say anything because I really don't know what's going on in that
Yeah.
office. It could
Yeah.
be them just
We
talking
have no
and having
proof,
a good
because
time.
that's what happens in the HR scene. Is
Yeah.
he goes like, okay, well,
Well, I got nothing here.
you're just telling me
Yeah.
this, and
What
it
you
could
think
be
happened.
this.
Yeah,
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 but it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, and I mean that's not just I think it's a testament to how good some of these people really are at controlling their environment.
But also, I think like that feeling of when you know something, but you don't actually have the ability to say why you know something.
Which happens all the time. Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
it's
it's
kind
like,
of like
well,
that
it's her intuition.
intuition.
Yeah, when she's like, well, why would he hire a waitress from Montana
Bring
to
'em
come
back,
work
yeah.
in New York? She has no
Yeah.
experience, and why was she staying at that hotel? Why did he go to the hotel to meet her?
Yeah, yeah.
And then he's like, well, I don't know what to tell you. That
Yeah.
none of that means anything. She's
Right.
like, well, I know it means something because I've seen it
and
all
when
happen.
you put all the pieces, and when you have that like feeling around somebody, like you can,
Yeah.
you can.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he,
That guy's weird. He's a creep. I don't know. I don't know. It's like,
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like, golf with the guy. He's all right.
Jesus.
But like the way the HR guy treats it
Oh my
is
gosh.
not. I'm not saying he's incorrect in the way that he's like, well, you don't really have anything,
Right.
because she doesn't.
Right.
And it's just like you got to treat it like a crime scene, right? Or like accusing somebody of murder. It's like, well, everything's circumstantial, right? It's like you think everything points to this person except physical evidence,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So you don't have an email, you don't have a phone call,
Yeah.
you don't have condoms or whatever that you don't have witnesses coming forward saying
Right.
doing this. So he's correct in that stance.
Yes.
But man, he's the worst HR.
Yeah, you just think that the scene doesn't work because it's so unrealistic that he'd be so one-sided to the Harvey Weinstein figure that it's like, well, I'm not going to say anything because he's not going after you, and this isn't your problem. This is just going to make it worse for you, kind of thing. Because I'm sure that does happen, but in HR, like, there'd be way more of an investigation, right?
I feel like they could have just pulled it off without making him almost satirical, like in nature.
Or having the first portion of that conversation, but not the second.
I guess that's
portion
what
of
I
the
mean, because the
conversation.
second portion is the portion that's like, dude, what the hell's going on?
Right.
Like, this guy's being an asshole. Like,
And-
now it's not
yeah.
even. He can just say, "You don't have it."
I don't have enough that I can make like a
Listen,
viable.
I don't
write it
like him
down.
either, and I don't like what he's doing, but I can't
Right.
do anything.
I'll write
because
it
he's
down.
not
I'll keep
Exactly,
track, and
exactly.
if you find something else, come to me, and
No,
we'll get it going.
But they have to do that extra step This is what I said. I cannot think of a time where they have made an HR person in a film or a show that was doing their job.
Was impartial.
And if I were an HR person,
point.
I would be furious.
Yeah.
Because it sends the message of these people that you're supposed to be able to go to
Right.
to be safe or to have confidentiality or to have like the ability to
do their job.
will never do their job.
Right.
And I think that that's a poor statement.
And it is unfortunate, but I guess how well I feel like the rest of the film was done.
Yes.
It does make me wonder if that was a real thing that happened to somebody.
And it could have been.
And it could have been. And I just feel like it was for a film that was so
realistic,
calm and realistic, that
and
was
subtle.
just a little too over the top.
Yes.
And the way, like the actor's okay. I mean, like I've seen him in things, he's fine.
Yeah, no, I like
but
him in other,
his lines were very deliberately
Yeah.
dramatic and like, well, he's not you're not his type anyway.
And that was like the cherry on top where it's like,
you didn't need that.
No.
You didn't need it.
because it did. It made him like part of the problem, right?
Right.
And then he immediately calls the guy and is like, "This bitch came in here and was just giving you, like, talking about you."
Yeah.
And
it would have made more sense if everyone in that world, even especially the men, were complacent in his actions rather than defending him, because he's the only other character that really defends the Harvey Weinstein boss, because the other guy that keeps having to go to his meetings because he's not there, he's obviously fed up with it and he doesn't want to deal with it, but he says nothing, but he's like, because I don't want to lose my job.
Spin City.
Yeah.
Oh, is he?
That's the guy from Spin City, one of them.
And then the two other assistants, they're just as low on the totem pole as her, and if they fuck up, because like he was on the phone, he's like, oh man, I made him upset, you do it because I don't want to get fired, kind of thing. So it's more of it's being part of the problem is you're a victim as well, in a sense. Oh, maybe that's the wrong word, but like the idea of like having someone that's directly part of the problem and assisting the Harvey Weinstein character just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, and I think it would have had the same impact. Well, maybe not impact is the right word. I think it would have been still in continuation of the theme and the story if she would have gone to HR and he would have had that first conversation of like, I don't really have anything. Do you really want me to file a complaint? It's going to be a hot mess. Her leaving. And then even the HR, then you could even lead to think like, oh, well, maybe the HR guy called him and said like, hey, I just wanted, I wanted to check in and make sure.
Yeah, and then
this stuff wasn't because
the boss
we had
is like,
somebody
well, I
make
know
a
what that
complaint.
means. I know it's you, rather than him telling
right, but
the boss
it was
immediately.
obvious that
he was
more like a
tattletale.
Hey man,
Yeah.
like she
Which,
just
again,
came into my office.
Is like the complete opposite of what
Exactly.
HR, like you're supposed to have that conversation. Anyway, and he even starts out the conversation that way. You're supposed to, like, that's what I'm here for. Like, I'm here for
he starts off that way, and then but the second she left that office, I'm like, it's not going to end there. Like, you knew that something else was going to come of that, and so it's like.
But I think they still could have had the follow up with that, even with them not having that whole second part of like, well, this is just
right, and the other two assistants, like, you can come to us, kind of thing, like
right. So not only did he call the boss and tell him, that means the boss then told the other assistants. Like, it's just a little too much.
Or if they heard him yelling,
or
in his office
heard
or
him in the
something.
other room or whatever. It's just the only part of the movie that's a little too much, because everything else, all the way the other women act around him, and because he never sexually comes on to the main character. At any point. He's degrading to her, but he's never sexually coming on to her like he is with all these other women. They say, oh, you're not his type. But she's still, like, because I don't feel like this is about her being a female assistant. I feel like this is about the other, like, the women that were going into his office in a way.
Well, or her being in an environment that was like that.
Yeah, but not because she was female, though. Because I do feel like the guys were getting the same type of.
I didn't feel like they were really as, like, concerned about it. Like, to me it almost seemed like it was like a joke to them.
Oh, that's true. I mean,
Yeah, at
that
one
is
point
a
they're
guy
listening to him
yeah.
having sex, and
yeah,
they're
and they're
making fun
laughing.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's true.
exactly.
I don't
And-
think you. Well, think about it.
But
Could
they've
you
been
make
there
the same,
longer.
Can you make the same movie with the main character being a male assistant? I don't think you can. Because she's particularly empathetic to all the other women.
I
in
don't
the
think you could
movie.
do it. You could have made it right then. I think that if you'd made it a few years ago or a few years in the future, you might be able to get away with it.
Yeah, but I think that being a female and then observing those types of
I think it's more
relationships, then
impactful.
that's when you get that concern, even if you are like, well, I wouldn't, like I wouldn't put, I wouldn't do that, or he's never done anything
But
like that to me.
all
But
the-
it still makes you feel like that potential is there.
But think about all the other characters in the office that don't really treat her with respect because she is an assistant, but also because I would imagine because she's a female assistant because she's just the coffee girl,
Yeah.
basically.
And
like
she gets him the sandwiches, and then the other guy is like, I
Yeah,
want
that
a
was
turkey.
that was a little bit over the top.
But
too,
that
yeah.
was, I thought, kind of also showing how they were trying to establish this totem pole.
Yeah, and
know.
that may very well just be seniority.
Yeah,
That's
but
how I
also
saw
I
that.
think that
well, right, because she had only
sometimes-
been there for what, 3 months?
2 months. Or
Yeah,
something
but
like
I
that,
also
yeah.
think sometimes that females in the workplace
Yeah.
get that.
You might be right. It's just not nearly as big of a focus when I was watching it. Like it is like, well, oh, she's a female.
Yeah.
It was more about like the workplace as a whole.
Yeah.
And how females were being brought in and like how tense everybody was on a regular basis, and like you feel like you can't say something, but you want to leave, but you need the job, or it's a good job to get you where you want to go, and it's
Yeah.
like, well, so is it, who's in the wrong?
Yeah.
Is everybody in the wrong technically then? Because if
Yeah.
these people could have walked away and
Yeah.
went and found another job,
Or reported
Do you
it
think
to the
that it-
police, or
it
well,
was-
that's the problem, is how do you report it when
Yeah,
you don't really,
really
have the
have
physical
anything.
and if he's the boss, right?
Yeah.
He's the
Right, they're
boss.
gonna
He's the
take-
guy that controls everything.
Yeah.
It's not like you can go to somebody but HR that obviously treats it that way.
Right.
And you say, well, if you can't do anything about the work environment, it's not going to change. Is it then on you by making that decision to stay?
Yes. Right.
Right?
But then-
Which is what they think they're doing at the very end.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, not only that, but I guess that made me think of when she's in there washing the dishes, and those other two gals that work there come in, and she leaves
Just
her coffee
drop
cup.
drop their stuff there.
That it's not so much about her being female; it's that she's in the position of like,
I think
okay, well,
she's-
this is the person
hasn't
that's
been
like,
there as long.
yeah, this
Yeah.
is the lowest. Like you can
Because
clean my
there's the
coffee
other
cup.
woman that I don't know if she's like the one that lets people in. Mm-hmm. She's the one that's calling her to tell her people are there.
Yeah.
And you get the impression that she's been there longer.
Yeah, yeah.
And
so I
because
guess
of the way
maybe
she talks.
Yeah, like it's an adaptation to the environment or something like that.
Right, because the females in a lot of ways, like I know it's not the same thing because the females aren't sitting there on the phone listening to the guy have sex.
No, right.
But it feels like they're at this point to where she's gonna get to where it's like, well, we just accepted it.
Well,
Like
or,
it is what it is.
or
at this
if
point.
it's a matter of like being able to get to the status where you can like stand your ground and say like, hey, I know this works for these other people, but it's not going to work on me. So or that they don't have to worry about it because they're not actresses wanting to get a job or whatever.
Yeah,
because
they
that's
may
kind of
not
the
be as type
thing.
as either. Like
Yeah.
anybody that he wants working for him, like actually working for him,
Yeah.
is not his type. I don't know.
So, do you think that it's vital that the story for this particular message that she is working for a producer? Like, do you think that it would work in some other type of career path?
I think it does work in other. I think like you could have made it, but I think that like capitalizing on what has happened in the last few years works well for this film and not in a cheap way. Like you said, they'd be like, you're just taking advantage. Like it's like fucking Mark Wahlberg and Twin Towers getting hit or whatever, like making a movie about
Patriots
that.
Day with the Boston bombing.
Yeah, whatever. The Boston bombing. Yeah, like shit like that where you're just kind of like you're taking advantage of something that happened and making a film out of it.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like, well, we already had this. This was something that was already happening. Here's something that we can kind of center it around so that that everybody knows about and can now relate with in a sense because everybody's read the stories. Everybody knows, like, even though you may not know all of it, as probably nobody knows all of it, but everybody's read a story about what was happening with Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
So by that, you're already established the fallout.
Yeah. Well, and
so
it's not
they're
new.
showing almost like the beginning.
Yeah,
or
it's
like
not
the stuff
new
that's
that
going on.
that industry has had that connotation
Forever.
attached to it. Yeah.
Yeah. There's many things that could happen. There may be a movie down the future that's about pedophilia in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Because apparently that's rampant too. So, it's just power. It has something to do with like wanting to be able to take away the power from somebody else.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Jeffrey Epstein. Like,
But it's always, I don't want to say it's always, but when you're a powerful person with a lot of money, then that can influence like the safety of your actions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're right in saying that I don't think it would apply for every industry because it feels like a film industry is kind of the fringe of like, well, it's a real job, but it's like almost not a real job because you're still dealing with like art and entertainment.
And it's like your choice to be in that industry.
Right. And there's usually more tolerance for like weird and like a taboo stuff versus like
well,
if
there's
you're
stuff going on in there that isn't going on in other workplaces, right?
Yeah.
Like the difference between like working at a different office gig where you're like in like accounting versus
or where
like
there's a good HR person.
right.
They are out there.
You realize that doesn't exist, right?
No,
movies and TV have shown me.
Well, yeah, that's the thing that makes
real
me
life
so
is TV.
angry.
All men are terrible. We're all rapists and killers.
Yeah.
And
HR never does
HR
their job.
never does anything. They hate them. And as we're about to talk about in our third film, deans
Right,
of
advisors.
colleges. Deans of colleges
Well, but that's
also,
the thing too. Advisors and counselors never do what they're supposed to do.
That's very
13
true.
Reasons Why, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is confidential. I'm not going to tell anybody about this. You hear what this guy said in our last
Oh my
session?
God, you should have heard this.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate. Like I said, it's
Right.
if I were in that position, because I do feel like that is a message that is told to people quite frequently. Is like the people that you're supposed to go to when you are in a situation in those specific, like in the workplace, in, an educational place or whatever, won't ever do what they tell you they're supposed to do.
Well,
And I think
because
that's,
here's the thing.
yeah.
It's just like all these other types of situations with other work things or anything that's happening. Are you okay over there?
I got to keep hitting the table. I'm sorry.
That you're not going to hear about the good things. If HR is doing their job correctly, you don't hear about it.
Yeah.
They're doing their job
Right.
well.
And not
so you're
telling
only
people.
going to hear about the bad things.
Yeah. I don't know.
Right?
I'm
not saying it's okay.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that's why you don't ever see or hear about good things, because in media, in movies and TV, it doesn't make good movie or TV.
Yeah.
If somebody goes to HR and they're just like, you know what? I'm going to call the cops on that rapist. And he's going to get arrested because you have the evidence.
It's just
No, it's far
frustrating.
more interesting if somebody goes, well, were you asking for it?
Yeah.
Did you
well,
dress that way?
I guess it's the same as like in any aspect where people go to the police and the police don't do something or
Right.
whatever. But I just feel like it's way more prominent in
Yeah, how often do
those
you
type
hear
of
about
jobs.
a police investigation where they didn't listen to somebody or weren't taking something seriously, and then you find out that that's what screwed it all up, and then you don't hear about all the times that the cops did their job
yeah, but
correctly.
it's not like 100% pattern like the other. Like
You're
you also
correct.
see
You
stories
are
where
correct.
police and
There's no
detectives and
movie-
things do their
There's
jobs
no-
and they do
right.
it really well.
They need to make a TV show
about HR.
about HR. It could be called HR New York.
Oh gosh.
not Miami or
No, Miami
Las
comes
Vegas?
second.
Okay.
Yeah, those are
Anyway.
spin-offs.
Those are the
It
spin-offs.
always starts in New York,
right.
and then you end up in Hawaii on like the fifth one or
Yeah.
whatever.
How many homicides are happening in Hawaii? It can't be that many.
They stuck on an island.
Yeah,
Where
actually,
are they
you're
supposed
right.
to go?
I think it's pretty low over there. Alaska, it's really high.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be up there.
Nobody
Scary.
wants to go outside. It's too cold.
Too many vampires
Apparently,
in the north.
yeah. Well, we know you're a big Josh Hartnett fan.
No, that's you. I'm Ben Mendelsohn over here, okay?
So the motif that I picked up on this film.
Oh, okay.
I guess this
She's
is
got a
something.
motif for all films.
Well, no, I guess it's just something that I try to
That's
That's
fine.
good. I mean,
that I
like
try
it.
to find
Yeah.
and then see if it
If we saw the same thing.
if it does anything.
Yeah.
It was food and drink.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot, like right from the get go, it starts out with the making the coffee and all that kind of stuff, and then like she serves the meals, and then she warms up the cuisine, and then at the end she's eating whatever that is, like a muffin or
Yeah, it's a
something like
muffin.
that. I don't
That
know.
she only eats like a fourth of.
Yeah,
which is
but
really
I didn't-
That's the most depressing part.
Yeah,
It's like
She
she's
takes-
not even hungry.
Did she take it with her?
Yeah.
Well, she takes it.
Yeah,
with
but
her.
I mean, like, it's like she's like sat down and finally got time to like sit down and relax and
Yeah.
talk to her
Enjoy
dad,
it, yeah.
and she can't enjoy it because her appetite's gone.
But same thing with the dinner that the microwave dinner.
Yeah, she just
She
throws it
doesn't.
away.
She doesn't
Yeah,
even
that's
eat
right.
that too. So maybe that's kind of because I do feel like when people are in stressful situations,
doubt.
they don't have an appetite, they don't want to eat. So maybe that's what it was kind of going for.
I think
Anyway.
yeah, I don't know if there's like a super deep meaning there, but
But she's
Yeah.
always like partially eating things. When she goes to eat the Fruit Loops, she's like barely eats it. She rushes and throws the rest away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just kind of a reflection of like she's providing this for other people, but she's not
can't enjoy it
taking
herself.
it in herself.
It's
or
definitely
taking
an
care of
anxiety
herself.
thing, like
Yeah.
stress and anxiety,
Yeah.
like not being able to.
So
I wish I had some. Could lose some weight.
Yeah, that'd be nice, right?
No.
Can I just get some stress
No.
and
Can we get
anxiety?
the, can we get the
No.
reverse of that? That'd be nice.
it's bad. It's bad.
Harvey, are you hiring?
No.
From
No.
jail?
No, he's not.
Then
No,
you
him and
start-
Bill Cosby are having
Oh, Bill.
are making a new thing in there.
Anyway,
So,
food and drink.
promising young woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The best of the three, and that's not to say the assistant's bad. Well, you may have a different opinion.
I would well, I mean, I won't even consider the first one because the first one's
Well,
garbage.
okay,
but
they're
of the
just
two,
different films.
I mean, that's the problem is they're not very comparable, other than the fact that they both deal with
I think that it's
post
just
Me Too.
it was more comedic.
It
It had
feels
some
more
comedy.
as a whole as like a real like kind of movie. The
It's
Assistant feels
faster
like more of
paced.
like a genre film.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I appreciate
And like a peek into
right
life.
that world.
Yeah.
And Promising Young Woman's more of like more broad as
Yeah.
far
Well, the
as
assistant
like,
feels like it's actually sending a message.
Yes.
Like here's a situation that you're not aware of, or like you're
Yeah.
not quite sure what it would look like,
Mm-hmm.
and we turned it into art for you so that you could watch it and understand what we're trying to get across.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you get it.
Well, and
by
you know,
the end of
it's
the film.
interesting now that we've had this conversation about the first movie and
Mm-hmm.
how it didn't really have like a proposal for a fix or a solution, and the assistant doesn't really have that either.
Well, it's
But-
because we already know that it's over.
Yeah, but for some reason it doesn't have that like
Over.
hopelessness feeling.
right. There is
Because she's making the decision herself, maybe, or because
because she has autonomy for her situation,
Yeah.
right?
That she's making the decision to stay.
yeah,
Oh,
or
I actually just feel more depressed that she decides
well,
to stay.
yeah, it is kind of like it's not a.
I think that
feel-good
the
film, but-
resolution that I feel from that is knowing that Harvey Weinstein went to jail.
Yeah,
And so I think it's another reason that you center your movie around
well, and not
that
to mention
particular
it.
situation.
Yeah, it does actually have her like deciding to like go to
Because it would have been
and
that much
try
more
to do
depressing if you
things.
didn't base it off of the Weinstein stuff.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you're going like, ah, shit, dude, like,
But I guess now
Oh.
I'm realizing that isn't necessarily like a must-have.
Well, no, you
But
don't
for
necessarily
some
have a
reason-
solution to the problem, but you need to have a definitive end.
you do
to-
when your character is constantly talking about
What am I
how
gonna
much
do? What
this
am I gonna
sucks
do?
and
Yeah.
how much women are dealing with this shit.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
you presented this situation.
Yeah.
And then said, never mind, I just have to do it myself.
Yeah.
You don't have a solution. The other one's message is a similar message, but they're not sitting there saying, well, we've got what are the tools? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And like I'm being treated like shit. You don't actually see her really complaining.
No.
She just goes to HR to present something.
Yeah.
But she's never talking to anybody about how she's
Yeah.
being mistreated
But
or
she's
anything
still
like
feeling
that.
her feels.
She's clearly feels mistreated.
Yeah.
But you don't you don't feel like that's not the point of the movie.
Right.
They're not trying to give you a solution.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas
so I don't
the other
know.
one, it's like you're complaining, you're
But
talking about this, and
Yeah.
you're
you
talking
were
about all these
promising a
different
solution,
things.
but you didn't deliver. This one is literally like, hey, in this certain case, there isn't a solution
Yeah.
until real life where it, somebody, was able to get enough people
Yeah.
to talk about it.
Yeah. It just, for some reason, it like, now I'm realizing that wasn't maybe.
No, I
Like,
think
what
it does.
bugs me about the
I think
first
it does
solution, but-
apply to Lucky,
Yeah.
but does not apply
Yeah.
to the assistant. And I don't feel like
So
we're
that's
making
it.
excuses either. I
No,
think
but
that's
that's
just
a
the way
testament
that
to how, like, the assistant is presented maybe
Structured.
in a more
Yeah.
consumable manner.
in a
just-
different art form. It's just a different way of film
Yeah.
of filmmaking.
Anyway. Okay.
As
Sorry.
you know, all three of these films have different ways of presenting their
Yeah.
message.
Right.
Just
I
to
mean,
do
like-
it well, and the other one doesn't.
And this one's like the Promising Young Woman is very on the nose as well.
But it rides the line better.
Well,
it's
far better than
it's,
Lucky.
It's as over the top as it needs to be, but it also treats the serious scenes seriously.
Yeah.
And the main character is a real character. Like,
Right. Well, they give her a backstory. They give her a reason for being in the situation that she's in. They have her parents around that are judging her and wondering what's going on
Yeah.
with her, and she's kept it inside. But as the viewer, we know what's happening.
Yeah, but then that also shows them, like, shows that that change, because her parents are like that, or like, we missed like,
Yeah.
you weren't you, or whatever. So kind of establishing that, there was a big shift in her
Yeah.
yeah. So
personality.
I'm
or
just, the
whatever.
reason why I'm bringing this all out is Promising Young Woman 2020, Emerald Fennell, she wrote it and directed it. The reason why I bring up these points is that all three films are directed and written by women, and the two that do it correctly are also directed and written by women. So I'm just trying to show the fact
Yeah.
that this isn't a forced narrative that the one that did it poorly is not.
No, I just think there's more talent.
Yeah,
from
or
the other
it's
two.
the other two can actually put the things together
Yeah.
and make something. And I also feel like it's important to say the people's names because there isn't a lot of female directors or popular directors. Catherine Bigelow was the only female director to win since the newest one. I can't remember the gal's name that won for Nomadland. But then as well as Greta Gerwig that did Lady
Was
Bird.
Bigelow Hurt Locker?
Hurt Locker, yeah.
Yeah.
So there isn't a lot of female directors, and I feel like that you need to get,
Yeah.
it's better to get that out.
And
Nice.
one of the best things is when you find out that it was a female director and you would have had no idea.
Right.
Kudos,
You just
Harry.
go,
Kudos.
No, okay, I don't want that. I don't want that. I just want to say that it's
No.
important because
You may
that-
not want it, but I give it to you anyway.
Thanks. Okay. I feel it's important because
Italian.
when people ask like who's your favorite director, everyone's like, I don't know, Alfred Hitchcock or Stanley Kubrick. Can you name a female director?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Catherine Bigelow. Okay, but you only know
Well-
her because she was the ex wife of James Cameron.
Right.
So
well, and for a long time there, women were all pushed to editing roles
yeah,
and
I still can't. I don't know the name of
casting.
Martin Scorsese
It's like
or
as casting,
Quentin Tarantino's editors, but they're both women
and
and,
they're
they both
fantastic.
yeah.
Except for in Cape Fear.
Except, well, okay, something tells me that she was told to do it that way.
She had
because,
an off year.
because that
We're all
is
allowed
nothing
that.
like the rest of Scorsese's films. But yeah, I mean, like, there's tons of talent out there: women, females, males, different races.
I just feel like that's the important thing here is because
Love
the
to
reason
get
why
to the
Lucky
point.
fails is not because it's not from a different perspective that's
Right.
coming from the outside in. It's literally she did not know what to do with the material
A film.
or it just wasn't what it should have been.
Right.
So, okay, so Promising Young Woman came out this past year, 2020.
Michelle Williams.
Yeah, Michelle Williams, Bo
What?
Burnham.
Michelle Williams.
Not Michelle
you not
Williams.
know that?
Carey
no,
Mulligan.
Carey Mulligan.
Karen Mulligan. She's
See?
awesome.
Hey,
there we go.
gosh.
Get those mixed up too.
Yeah. I know.
Daisy.
Carey Mulligan.
Carey
Daisy.
Mulligan.
She's British. Did you guys know that?
Yeah.
I did.
She's married to Marcus Mumford.
Oh, yeah, I did. SNL helped me with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
She actually kind of looks older than I think she is.
Yeah, it's odd because you think that she's like Michelle Williams. You think she's in her 40s, but then you're
She's
like,
like-
oh,
she's like my age.
She's
she's
your guys'
fantastic.
age.
She's
no,
fantastic.
she's really good in
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Got Bo Burnham. Pianist, YouTuber,
I like Bo
comedian.
Burnham.
I do, but he's not an actor. That's the problem.
Well, I have my own
We can get
opinions
into
about
that. We
but-
can get into Bo Burnham's performance here in a little bit.
Who
but
else? The dean is
Alfred Molina
Alfred Molina's great.
again.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah, the dean's that one
from
lady.
American Horror Story
Yeah.
and Nashville. God,
I don't
what's
know
her
her
name?
though. I don't know
Oh
her
yeah,
name.
I don't know her name. She's from Spin City too.
Yeah, really. Allison Brie.
Oh yeah, Alison Brie.
Great.
Oh yeah, Alison
the
Brie.
friend.
She's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Friend.
Incredibly talented.
Yes.
There's not really many other people. There's a couple people from like I've noticed them from YouTube that are some of the guys at the bachelor party. The guy from New Girl is in it.
Right, that's
Yeah.
what she mentioned.
The guy from Superbad.
Oh,
McLovin.
McLovin. Yeah,
Oh.
in his one scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's his God? His name is so weird too.
I don't know the guy's name. So
Christopher Minitz Palaz or
so
something.
we saw this. So we saw this trailer for this
Yeah, when we saw Uncut Gems.
when we saw Uncut Gems
Oh.
a long time ago.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that's why it feels because when we saw it, we remember that at least your reaction was
Ew, this looks
like this
cringy.
looks hokey, like it looks.
No.
But the trailer, like, because trailers don't always come off, and
Yeah.
I've been
No,
suckered
it
into
felt when we watched the trailer, it felt like what Lucky was, and like this sounds insulting.
Right,
Like,
that, like, it's
oh,
like,
here we go.
come on.
Like,
because they do that opening scene, don't they? Like that's
Yeah.
a big part of the trailer
Mm-hmm.
where she's pretending to be drunk at the club,
Yeah.
and you know, it's so she's just doing this. Her friend got raped in college when they were both in medical school by other people in medical school, and her friend dropped out, and then she dropped out to take care of her friend, and then her friend ended up killing herself. And it takes place, I don't know what, at least 10 years.
she's having her 30th birthday, so
Oh, okay.
it probably at least
8
five, at least
years,
5
yeah.
years.
Yeah, I thought it was like 7. They said, I'm pretty sure they said something about 7
How
years
long it
ago,
had
7
been.
years ago
Okay.
in some of the conversations.
Molly Shannon
Oh, that's right.
That's
Yeah.
right.
plays the dead girl's mom.
I like her.
So it's kind of just playing this. She sets herself up to be in these situations to see what guys will take advantage of her in the state that she is pretending to be in, right? And I actually think that one of the best parts of the film is the very beginning, and I don't mean the whole scene. I just mean the conversation between the guys.
Yeah, and
It's
how
incredibly good how they push each other. Like it's like they all want to do it right from the beginning, and nobody's saying it. And then like they each kind of push it just a little bit further, and then eventually it's like, oh man, I'll go do it. He's gonna go do it, and like none of the three guys are being like, hey dude, that chick is passed out over
and
there.
also the one guy that's the reasonable guy, he's like, guys, let's be real about this. I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna see if she's okay.
Yeah.
And then the one guy that's supposed to be the good person turns out to be
Yeah.
like the one that's gonna take advantage of
Bum.
her.
Yeah.
But it's almost like he doesn't decide that, I feel like, when he goes over there.
No, he kind of decides that in the car.
See, now I
Yeah.
disagree. I think he decided that while he was still talking to his friends.
He just wanted to
Think so?
look
I
like
think
the
that
good guy.
Like
I
he
think
was the
that
good
all
guy.
three of them wanted to pretend like they were the good guy, at least for a little while, and they each had their threshold.
Interesting.
And he had it's like you're putting on this front. Like all of them are pretending. You have to. You can't just out. You're gonna be around your
Yeah.
friends where you're in
I'm gonna
business.
take care-
you're
I'm
in
gonna
your
take
business
advantage of
suits,
that,
and they're gonna be like, I'm gonna take that girl home, and while she's passed out, I'm gonna have sex with her.
Yeah.
Like nobody's gonna like none of the guys say. Have you ever known a guy to say that?
No.
No.
But you've known people that would do that
I-
by
I'd
not
like to
saying
believe
it.
I don't know
mean,
anybody
you would
that would
hope
do
not,
that, but-
I mean, you've probably met.
But I
at
know that
least
we've been
a
around
person
people
that has
'cause
done that, right?
as common as it is, apparently.
Well, and I think there's a difference, but there's not a difference between being in a club or a bar and making that decision, or being like at a party or with people that are you know
Yeah.
Oh,
in
that
college
like know you
or whatever.
and
yeah, like that's it's
well, and if his friends hadn't been there,
it's a similar message, but it's not like something that maybe we personally would have come across because of
Yeah, we don't go to
We
clubs.
don't
Well,
go to
right, the
clubs.
No.
circles we run in, the people we know.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
We don't get invited to parties and
Speak for yourself.
What is a party?
hey guys, send me Discord invites and
At home with your dog with like pulsing lights in your kitchen.
And he's like,
catch me on
here she goes
Instagram
again.
at lonelyman42.
But yeah, I don't know. I just all throughout the movie, I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
Not only is it poignant and like serious in these scenes, like it treats the how gross it is. Like in the first scene when she's like acting passed out and he just starts undressing her
it's
and
disgusting.
like sexually assaulting her. It's disgusting.
But
and
she
it's,
looks
and it's,
disgusting when she's passed out at the club.
right.
Like,
but I'm just saying, it's like
how do you see that? Like, it's very odd for me because I look at that and I go, she's not attractive right now.
But they
Yeah.
even say, like, man, she's hot.
Yeah,
Like-
I
like
know,
when
but
they're
it's
over
like,
there.
yeah, it's like, but it's what other people are seeing. It's like,
Well, they're probably a little drunk, too. And, you know, the drunk
Right.
goggles.
you do things
Except for
with
that Carrie Mulligan is hot, by the
oh,
way.
she's okay.
Yeah, but so here's the thing: it's like I like that it takes those scenes seriously, and then it takes other scenes comedically and tongue in cheek. So it's almost like in Bruges or Three Billboards, where it can turn on a dime, and it
Yeah.
does it incredibly well.
Yeah.
Where you go from one scene where they're at the the pharmacy with Bo Burnham, and they're dancing, they're singing to Paris Hilton.
Yeah.
And then they're
Oh,
having a
yeah.
good time, and then the next scene she's dressed up and pretending to be drunk, and a guy's trying to sexually assault her, and you're just like, God damn, this is
Yeah.
disgusting.
The other thing, though, that I really thought was powerful was that they still give you that feeling without actually showing you anything.
Right. Yeah.
And so, and that was something that I had brought up, is that, like, they didn't like,
Well, especially
even when
with
she's at
with-
McLovin's house, like,
Right.
the shot is just from, like, the
well,
waist up.
they're
and they
not
don't-
exploiting the women in the way of like, hey, this sexual scene where it is assault could be misconstrued as, well, we're revealing Carrie Mulligan or whoever the actress is and showing, skin and that the way,
Yeah,
in the way
or even-
almost
Right,
making it
right.
erotic,
Yeah,
where
but
it's
even
not
somebody's
erotic.
hand, like
Right.
showing his hand on her leg or something like
Right.
that. But I mean, they do have him like pulling her undies down in that first
Sure,
scene and
but
stuff
it's-
like that. But it's not like
But it's never like revealing in the way that
Right.
they're like
Called undies? What are they called?
panties.
Oh, panties.
MeUndies.
She hates saying the word panties.
panties.
It's a weird word for her. Panties.
I can't say it normally. I'd say panties.
Panties. um, Yeah, no, I agree. And like that's what good directors make and
Yeah.
artists make is
Yeah.
is when you know how much to show
Yeah.
and what is necessary.
Oh my
What's your
gosh.
message?
Yeah. Sorry.
You don't need to show it.
What?
I just get excited about saying something and then I
Go ahead.
realize that I have to wait until somebody
Don't have
else
to
is
wait. You can just talk over them.
Oh yeah, is that how that works?
Yeah. And so the other thing that I thought was interesting was, I can't remember if it's the first guy or if it was one of the others where like he starts kissing her and you could tell like she's not even doing anything, and then he pulls away and he's like, wow. You know?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, and they do that, with him and McLovin and stuff like that, where they're she doesn't just immediately say, "Hey, stop."
Yeah.
She is giving them the chance
Yeah.
to stop,
Well,
and she's
especially
saying,
with that,
"Oh,
"What are you
I think I'm
doing?"
gonna go home."
Yeah.
No, don't. I don't
Yeah.
want you to do that. And
Right.
like she's giving them the
Yeah.
chance, and she's showing almost the audience
Right.
that what I'm about to do
Yeah.
is okay because I
Yeah.
gave him a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And that even and it's that thing where like somebody doesn't necessarily have to say no in
Right.
order for it to, like, the word no, like,
To mean that you didn't give consent
order
for
to-
that.
Yeah.
right, well, and she never ever gave consent.
no.
At any point did she
Right.
say, "Yeah, take me home to
Yeah.
your place,"
Right.
and like it was always them leading.
Yeah,
the
and that
way.
was her intention.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she marks these things down in notebooks.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
So
it's
what are
different
the
colors.
what do the different colors mean?
I don't know, but she
She-
uses scrunchie.
Yeah.
What's that?
She uses
She has a
scrunchie
routine.
everything.
She takes off her scrunchie, she opens up the book, and then
Yeah.
she gets the pen.
So you thought
I
that
thought she
it was just different
using
colors.
one of those pins that has like the different
I
colors
think it's
on
very
it.
obvious that she was marking them in specific
like
specific
a
colors.
code.
Based off of how
or-
what punishment they got.
Or what degree of assault did they
yeah,
partake in?
I would
Yeah,
think of it more
either
that
way.
way of like how far somebody.
Well,
went.
I guess I figured that they were one and the same, that they correspond. Like the further they took it,
Yeah.
because she's like, well, that one dude put his fingers in me, and like
Yeah,
you
but
didn't try that.
She didn't vary her punishment.
Well, you don't
Well,
know.
they never show anything.
You don't know
Right.
what she did.
Oh,
and
I guess
so
you're right.
so I guess what I'm saying is, it could go hand in hand. That how far they push it is depending on how much she reveals to friends, or like kind of what she does at the end, where it's like she's giving the video to other people and sending text messages and stuff like that, and gave the stuff to Alfred Molina. What I'm saying is that with McLovin, it's like,
I love that.
I don't know what else to say. And you know that that's probably something he deals with on a regular basis. But that he is degraded, like that's what she did to him, is like, hey, I told you no. It's like, you didn't push it any further than this, and you did give up. Or whatever, it's like, so this is what you get. You didn't get to see what she did to the other guy that actually did stuff. And I think that she didn't kill him or anything like that. I don't think she physically harmed him. But the one dude that knew him or whatever at the club the second time she went,
because she
was getting with that other guy when Bo Burnham saw him, and he's like, oh, you're that crazy girl that took whatever home, like, and so it's like, she did something to him too,
because they called her crazy.
I think that she has varying degrees of what she decides is punishment for what they're doing.
What else would she do?
Well, she names in that exact scene when he's like, well, he's pointing, he's like, oh, you were the one that Terry took out that one night. And he's like, yeah, well, you got to be careful with most women, because there's a woman that comes around in this area that carries a pair of scissors in her bag. And he's like, you're lying. And she's like,
yeah, that's what she says.
Right. So
I felt like she was just trying to, like,
she was trying to scare him, but the idea is that
but that's not the punishment to you.
to scare somebody.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying varying degrees of punishment, whereas McLovin is
He just got a stern.
he's getting
to.
a stern talking to. The other guy might get like a physical scare, like, I took scissors out while you were,
Oh.
or spreading rumors,
but I didn't
or
actually
shaming
do
this
it.
person.
I pushed you as far as I could, but I didn't. And that's what I love about this film, is that she, until the very end or towards the end, she doesn't actually do anything that what I thought the trailer kind of made it look like she was doing.
That she was around,
because
like,
I thought the trailer was going off that she was killing these people that were doing that, and you almost get the impression she might have done that after the first guy.
Yeah,
because you don't
see it
beyond,
and you never see the guy again,
which is brilliant.
Yeah, because like the next shot is her eating a hot dog, and there's ketchup all down her, like
it was a
blood
donut. I thought.
Oh, was it a donut?
It's like a donut.
Like a jelly donut.
Jelly donut that's going down.
And that's great too, that she's like walking, and then those guys are like catcalling her, and she just stares.
Yeah. She doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
She
just
just
stares.
stares.
Fuck
at you,
them.
bitch.
Yeah. And it's so
Love it.
so great. It's so great.
She's fantastic in this.
And then same thing with her being in the car, and the guy stops and starts like yelling at her, and she's just like sitting there, and it just
it makes you not want to be a woman. That's what all these movies do. Just make me not want to be a woman.
I guess, but at the same time,
everybody's
like,
got their own thing, though.
Do you want that attention here?
Is it so great to
no,
be
it would suck.
a guy?
I can emphasize, or I can what the fuck is the word?
Emphasize.
Empathize.
Empathize with the PH. I can
empathy.
empathize with
emphasize
people.
that.
Shut up.
Empathize.
Shut up, because I don't do words good. I can empathize.
You couldn't even think of the word words.
Really got to get you better vocabulary. It would be awful to be constantly every day to be objectified, and possibly, like, when you're going out at night, have to worry about somebody assaulting you or robbing you, or it's awful.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think that it does, that the movie does it well by illustrating how easy it is for men to get away with horrific things, and just just to kind of pass it under, push it under the rug and say, well, it wasn't really that bad.
Yeah.
She was drunk at the club.
Yeah.
Right. If she had actually been that way,
right,
nobody would have known.
Right.
So my question is, how does that make you boys feel of how men were portrayed in the film?
Oh, I think that's very accurate.
Yeah,
That's
I
interesting.
think the only complaint I would have is that just like in Lucky, just like in The Assistant, there really isn't a redeemable character other than Alfred Molina. I think it's a missed opportunity that Bo Burnham would turn immediately on her.
Ah, yes.
So yeah, Becky and I had, I agree with you, Harry, in that I feel like they didn't do quite what they should have with Bo Burnham's
I feel
character.
like it's because of his acting, not because of the writing. I
I
mean, it could be
I don't
both,
think his
but
acting is that bad.
I didn't think his turn was all that great, but I also felt like it wasn't necessary to make him be like everybody else.
yeah.
I did not think that change.
Well,
was
especially with
necessary.
him not like, do you know where she was this weekend? No, I have no idea where she
That's
was.
the
That
part I
was
have
like
trouble
the
with.
Because
most
she was, like, lying about
irredeemable.
it.
Yeah.
He
like-
knows that something's wrong.
He loves her. Why would he automatically like? Well,
Right.
she died, so I'm not going to do anything for
That's
her.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's the part where it's like, well, you could say that he was, yeah, okay, he was a kid, he was young. A lot of time has
Yeah,
changed. He's
yeah.
a different person.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Right. And
But-
should somebody be condemned 7 years later
For being in the room,
and
yes,
not doing something?
Exactly. And she can do whatever she wants with that.
Right.
That's her choice.
Yes.
But should he be punished as a doctor and lose his job and stuff like that?
Yeah.
No, probably not. But yes, then that is fine
And
if
the
you want to
anger
push
even,
it that
because
far.
when you feel threatened and you're backed into a corner, then people get angry.
Sometimes.
When people are scared, they get angry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But to immediate,
But
but
then-
the worst part is to literally like he knows that she's either dead or hurt,
Or because-
but he's not going to help the police find
Yeah.
her.
Right.
Like
that's
bullshit.
That's the
Because the worst that will happen to him is that he will get some bad publicity, but he's not going to be an accessory to the statute of limitations are far gone by that point.
So I
right?
mean, like,
so,
so at
Yeah.
that point, what does he lose if she's hurt or dead?
yeah
What does he
telling
lose by
them-
telling the truth?
almost nothing. He redeems himself and he gets it on the
Because
side.
he doesn't know that she's going to turn in that stuff.
Yeah.
If she's
Right.
dead, then
I
he
mean-
would assume that she's not going to be able to turn in
unless
that
he
stuff.
just doesn't, unless he wants to like try to completely separate himself from the situation
And
altogether.
then it reduces his character that none of his genuine interactions with her, he never actually felt that way. He was just after her because he was physically attracted to her rather than he cares about her.
Or I
I
just feel
just-
like he has different priorities. Like I think that
Yeah.
he made it seem like he was prioritizing her, but really his life is more important to him. Like his current life is more
guess.
important to him.
or his career.
Yeah, I just didn't think it was necessary. I don't think you needed to do that with his character. I think
Yeah.
you could have gotten away with him being a redeemable male character that loses this girl because she still finds the video. He doesn't have to be in it.
Yeah. But-
and she goes to get her revenge for
Yeah.
it. Things go wrong. She
Yeah.
dies. You feel bad for him.
Yeah.
And you feel bad for her. You feel bad for her family. And people are still punished for
Yeah.
what happens.
But I think even they could have even still. I liked that they had to where he was in the video because then it raised that additional question of like, where does the line stop?
Right. What
who should be, on her list or whatever.
Right. What is condemnable enough?
Yeah.
Is it actually partaking in the sexual assault? Is it denying it and covering it up?
Right.
Is it being in the room and not doing anything?
Yeah.
It is another point.
But then I think they could have just stopped it there where she threatened to release the video and like ruin his career and he got angry and then she left and then that's it. Like I think
and then maybe he's still interviewed by the police and he actually tells them that she
Right,
went
right.
to the thing.
yeah, or something.
Well, I
but,
mean,
yeah.
just do it like Alfred Molina did it. Just do it like he's sorrowful for what he did, not
Mm-hmm.
in the same way, because then you kind of nullify that character's uniqueness.
I think that's what
but-
bothers me about his reaction, Bo Burnham's reaction, is it was automatically, it was like excuse.
I think that's
Instead
realistic
of it
though.
being, that was a while ago. I swear I'm different now. Like
That's
I
what he
I
started
don't
out
I
with.
don't feel like that represents who I am
Or he should have
anymore,
said
and I
like,
shouldn't
"Hey,
have done that."
if you knew that about me, you
but
would
he
have never
never
dated
he
me."
never
that kind of thing.
apologized for it.
Yeah, I guess I just feel like it was a prime example of like how humans just have like reactions when they're put in certain situations, and it
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean it's the reaction they would
What,
have,
how they really feel.
they
or,
would
yeah.
have had
Yeah.
had they had like a moment to step back and say, okay, let me think about how I really feel about this.
Which is funny because when we talked about what happens at the bachelor party,
Yeah.
your reaction was that you felt like he was consciously making a decision to kill her and knew exactly what he was doing.
At
Whereas
a certain
I
point.
would say he was reacting to being physically harmed
Yeah.
and wanted her to stop.
But I felt like there was after he had the
Oh,
pillow
you
on
mean-
her.
yeah.
There's one moment where it's like he almost kind of has like a shift, and he says something
Yeah.
like "forget it" or whatever, or he says something.
That was the only part of that scene. Like, it's dark and it's messed up and it's in the right ways where it needs to be. But I do feel like it might just because my personal experience with that actor that plays the main guy who had physically assaulted or who had raped her friend. He was in some YouTube videos. He was in Bride Tannic. I don't know if you've ever seen those guys. He's a comedian. I've seen him before, and it was hard for me to get into the realm of like he's that bad guy.
There
So,
were a
like,
lot of comedians in
yeah,
this
so
movie.
it was hard for when he like has that switch where he literally puts his knee on the pillow
Yeah.
to suffocate her. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't really buy into this actor doing. It's the same way I don't really buy into Bo Burnham being a doctor. Like,
See, now I feel like
Pediatrician,
I feel like I can be objective about both of those things because I really haven't seen much of Bo Burnham stuff,
Okay.
and I've never seen that other guy before.
okay,
Yeah, I
So,
haven't seen the
do you
other
feel
one.
I
like in
was
that
fine.
scene that
I was
he-
fine with him.
he becomes. Do you think he was just doing it out of desperation? Or
I
did he
feel
make
like
the choice?
he did a good job of feeling like somebody that was pretending to be not a frat guy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and his friend was the frat guy still.
Yeah.
And I thought that scene was really well done. I did not. I felt like his reaction was not, say, like proper, but believable, in that he was handcuffed to a bed. Was he shown the video?
No.
No.
She just was talking
But
to him.
he figured out who she was, knows exactly why she's there.
Because he asked what her name was, and she
Right.
said her name was Nina
The other
girl,
Fisher.
the friend.
And that's when he kind of like realized.
He knows-
And then he even says like, "Oh, you were her friend."
Yeah, and he
so
knows exactly what he's done, and
Yeah.
that she's there to get revenge on him. He knows he's in danger. He once again is restrained. He gets one of those hands free. She still has a knife in her hand, scalpel in her hand,
She's a nurse.
and he still has one connected to the bed,
Right.
and so you don't have much of an option.
I don't think I think though. At
What's
that
to
point,
stop her from coming back at him?
I think at that point she didn't have the scalpel in her hand.
She drops it at
anymore,
one
though.
point, so-
yeah,
Did he know that?
you can see her hand, and she's
Did
like,
he know that?
she's like grabbing at him and stuff.
I feel
Without
like
the scalpel
I don't
in
think
his
I don't
hand?
think he intended to kill her.
I don't think that he was thinking that he was killing her while he was doing it. I think he was doing whatever he could to get her to stop coming at him.
There's
Yeah.
another movie that does that certain scene where it's somebody is suffocating somebody to stop what they're doing because he thinks that they're trying to kill him, and then he's like, "Oh fuck, what did I just do?"
Yeah, because his realization right after it, you don't think his reaction right after it happening was kind of like, holy shit. Like, I just killed that
Movie is
person.
that? I can't think of it.
Well, I mean, yes, but
Well, if he had planned to murder her from the beginning,
No.
she's
no,
saying
no.
she's saying that
I'm
like
saying-
putting his knee on the pillow right while he's got it on there, he
Oh,
knows
okay.
he's killing her.
no,
And-
not even at the beginning. Like I feel like he was trying to stop her, but then there was a certain point where she kept struggling, and he like was like, "Fine, like I'm gonna keep this pillow here." And then
Yeah,
I mean,
but what's
I guess
the point of that?
I don't know.
But I
I
also
mean, like,
feel
why
the
would that
conversation
character
with
do
with
that?
his friend after he's like, "What are we gonna do? We need to call the police." And he's like, "Nah, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna
Yeah,
take care
Well,
of
it
this."
didn't
And
feel like something like why would he want to kill this
Okay,
woman? Like he's about
okay.
to get married.
Yeah, that's fair.
It just would ruin everything.
That's
It,
fair.
it just seems like something like his brain snapped and
self-defense
and he
and,
just
like,
did what he was doing
yeah, yeah.
to get out of
I
it.
get you.
Still fucked up, and he deserves to go to jail.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
Well, and that's the other part that I thought was interesting was when the friend comes in and he's like, "You didn't do anything wrong. It's not your fault. It's not your fault." And it's like
yeah.
that's probably part of the problem too. Is like
Yes.
how long in his life did he have people where he was doing
Well,
stuff?
it's not any
and people
different than
were-
the three guys at the beginning.
I also
Yeah.
like
They're all
that
telling
it's-
each other, "Oh, you're doing the right thing. Yeah, no, go
Yeah,
take
yeah,
care of
yeah.
her. Yeah, we all know what you're doing,
Yeah.
but we're not going to say it out
Yeah.
loud."
It's also realistic because it's just the one friend. It's not the whole fraternity guys in the
Right.
basement.
Because you
It's-
know there'd be somebody.
be
that
like,
would be
no, I'm calling the cops. I'm
Yeah.
not being an accessory to murder. Like,
yeah, and it's like that one. It's like it's almost like a dependency or something like
Mm-hmm.
that, and so he needs somebody to say that he didn't do anything wrong.
Is it weird that I thought that guy was really funny?
which one?
The friend.
Well, it's 'cause
Well, he's a
funny
new
guy.
girl.
I don't know. He was just funny, and then he like kicks the arm and
It's like, oh fuck!
the fire.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, like, talk about something that I did not see coming.
Mm-hmm.
I did not think they were going to kill her character off. But it was brilliant.
Yeah.
It is exactly what that film needed to do.
Yeah.
To finish
to have the
its-
impact.
And I don't
yeah.
think she thought that was going to be an outcome.
No, I do not. I don't think she went there. I
Being
mean,
like, I might die.
I think she did send that stuff to Alfred Molina. No, like no matter what.
yeah.
Like, but yeah, I don't think she actually thought she was going to die.
right.
Which makes it even more impactful
Yeah.
because it's like, no, she went there thinking that maybe there wouldn't be a great outcome.
Yeah.
Not the outcome
And
she was
maybe
looking
she would
for.
get
Well,
hurt or something
or
like
arrested
that,
for
but
something.
yeah.
Well,
you
it's
know.
what she was trying to do. I think she was trying to do what they did in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, where she was going to brand him with her
Yes.
name
Yeah.
with the
Yes.
scalpel. So it's like at worst, she
goes
gets
to jail.
thrown out. And goes
so I
to
mean,
jail,
like
yeah.
that's I mean, like giving the evidence to Alfred Molina makes sense if she thinks that she may be arrested.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean,
Right.
that was probably what would have happened had it gone to plan.
Right. Right.
So, it's rough. It's
Mm-hmm.
rough to watch this, feel for this character, and then see her die.
But then also
And
to
then-
still be able to continue the movie even without the
Well,
person that you've been following.
And
that
then
whole
see
time.
her body being destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like it's like, oh no, she's dead. Like, because
Mm-hmm.
you're watching movies, you're like, well, maybe she's still alive. And like, and then he wakes up the next morning, she's
That's-
still there, and you're like, oh no, she did.
I think that's why it's so brilliant, because just in those minor, like we've said before, it can switch back and forth on a dime. You go from having a good time, getting her revenge, like being tongue in cheek, and then it just, that dose of reality comes in when he kicks her fucking hand back into the bonfire. You're just
Yeah.
like, God damn, dude.
Yeah.
Or just the fact that she was, things didn't go to plan in that room to begin with.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, he's handcuffed to the bed, and it's like, what's going to happen here? Like,
Yeah.
that's what was great about that scene is like, I don't know where this is
How
going.
far she's gonna go
I-
or what it is.
Yeah,
that
I
she
didn't
has
know what
planned.
she was going to do to
Yeah.
begin with. I didn't know, like, it seemed odd that she was going to be able to just carve a name onto his stomach
Yeah.
without something happening in
But
the
I
film.
also didn't feel like she was gonna I didn't get the impression that it's like, oh, she's gonna go.
I thought she
kill
might have
this guy.
killed this guy. Yeah.
Oh, I
yeah.
didn't think so.
No?
I didn't think she
no,
was
I didn't,
planning
I
on
didn't
killing
think she was
him.
going to kill him.
No.
I don't know.
Just
I
because
felt
of
like
what
they-
she'd done with the other people.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that her main motivation was like that she felt that it was very unfair that other people could continue on with their lives without having like the
It's her brand of justice.
Yeah, that
vigilanteism almost
right,
in a way.
and without having like that weight of a person's
Mm-hmm.
well-being and life and stuff on their shoulders when she was the one that was carrying
And
that.
we talked about that, you and I, the other day
What?
when we were talking about have you ever heard a story about a guy
Yeah.
that has done something like that
Yeah.
and then 10 years down the line feels regret about it? Because I'm sure there are plenty that regret it and actually went to the woman or whatever
Yeah.
and apologized and was like,
Yeah.
hey, like without being prompted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, and I'm not saying there aren't people out there that regret their choices and the things that they've done. What I'm saying is because of the consequences of telling the truth, it's so bad of what could happen to you if you go and say, you go walk up to that woman, you're like, yeah, this happened, and then all of a sudden she's like, great, I'm gonna go to the police now that
Right.
you've given me the evidence that I need, or recorded this
Or
or whatever.
At the very least, the social mob will ruin your life.
Anything.
So,
And so it's like, damn, like, so it sucks because there are people that make really dumb decisions, especially when they're drunk in college, stuff like that. And I believe that some of these people probably regret what they've done, and they think about it, and they know that they've hurt people, and they wish they hadn't. And it makes you wonder
Yeah, and
what they can do about it.
And that's what I thought was interesting, was because the attorney was the only person that she didn't feel she needed to do anything.
Right,
to.
scare
And because
or
he had that reaction of like, oh my gosh, I know I did this and it was no good,
But
and I'm
even
sorry.
him, she had to go to him.
Yes.
He did not contact her
Yeah.
and tell her, hey, I'm sorry about this.
Right. But then it makes you wonder, is like, so is the reason that she decided to like leave him out of it because he felt remorse? And so had any
believe
of the
so.
other people that she came in contact with felt that remorse and expressed that remorse,
Yes.
would she have had a different reaction?
I think so.
Well, so maybe it's not like the guy needed to say, like,
or Bo Burnham, yeah.
find her out and say I'm sorry or whatever, but yeah.
Oh, in this particular situation, you're absolutely right. I think that if they had reacted properly,
Yeah.
like Alfred Molina, like, oh my God, I did do that.
Yeah.
And it was so dumb and I never should have done it.
Right.
And yes.
Yeah.
Like, I think that maybe the last guy, no, I don't think it
Right.
mattered what he would have done.
Yeah.
But the other ones, sure.
Yeah.
And I think that they would have, that she would have, and who knows, and maybe she had that reaction from some of the guys.
Well-
that when she showed herself as being sober, they were just like, oh my God, you know what? This was really dumb. I should
Yeah.
never have done this, or
Do you
whatever.
think that people would really do that though?
No, not the people that do stuff like
Right,
that.
that's
Yeah,
what I'm
no. I was like, people with morals, yeah, but the ones that have morals aren't doing shit like that.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
proper morals. I don't know. It's very tough because, like I said, we don't go to clubs. We don't put ourselves in those situations. And so it's like, it's very hard for me, and I'm sure Harry as well, as guys, to understand what that's like.
Yeah.
To see somebody like that and think, oh, that's my prey.
Yeah. But that's what I think is really interesting about the movie, is how she dresses herself differently each time. She does the makeup. She does, like, it shows her watching that YouTube tutorial
How to
for
make
the
blowjob lips
or whatever. And it's like,
that's the director.
but like that's the
Oh,
stuff.
really?
Oh, is it? Awesome. But that's like the stuff that, like, kind of going back to, oh, well, that was a different movie where it's like,
It's fine.
that's part of it, where it's like, well, what were you wearing? Why were you drunk? Like, blah, 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 blah. And so she didn't shy away from those things, and still showing that, like, hey, this still isn't right, even though I was wearing this makeup and I was like,
Yeah.
and I had
No, that
drinks
should
or whatever.
never, ever be the reaction after somebody has been assaulted.
No, but that is
what were you wearing? Where were you? Why did you do that? Yes,
And I
it
think
should
it's
be
better
something that
now.
it sucks that people have to do that, but it is something people have to do, is consider what they're doing, when they're doing it, who they're doing it with.
Yeah.
And as guys, it's in some ways we have to do the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
but
not to the degree.
not to the
No.
degree that women
I
do.
can go out to a concert venue on a Saturday night, wear whatever I want, basically, and not worry about, if I park on a bad street and I have a bunch of stuff in my car and I have my wallet hanging out of my back pocket, I guess I'm more
walking
privy
alone
to being
back to your car.
a prey. But at the same time, I don't know what it's like to be a woman in that.
There's a whole different
But that's a
degree.
different kind of prey also. Like,
Sure.
that's not as
Financial-
discriminatory.
right? Financial versus
Oh, you're
sexual.
absolutely right. Yeah, like somebody sees a female and they see somebody weaker, somebody they
Yes.
can take
Right.
advantage
Right.
of.
But that's
And-
not the same as, like, seeing a girl that's, like, wasted and doesn't have, like, proper...
I don't know if it is that much different though.
I think it is, because in that sense, you feel like, well, I mean, why would she go to that club and get trashed if
Yeah,
that's what she
but
sounds
if
That's the
somebody's-
excuse they're making.
But if somebody's gonna, like, get you while you're walking to your car at night, their intention is to get you, right?
Sure.
Oh, you don't think
And
it's the
I don't-
guy's intention when they go to the club to find women like that?
I'm not saying that.
Oh.
I'm saying they don't see it as, like, a crime, the way it's like, oh,
I-
well, if
yeah,
I
I guess.
like beat the,
Oh.
if I, like, attack this person or I take their wallet or I whatever.
They think there's probably a lot less chance that they'll get in trouble for it.
Yeah, but that's I guess kind of what the movie is saying though too, is like, people don't see that.
That's a
as,
great point, though.
As like a
that it's
something
almost like
wrong.
normalized.
Yeah.
That this is just something that happens,
Uh-huh.
and it's not okay.
Yeah.
But it's not like, oh well, we really need to cut down on the crime rate down in this block
Right.
of the city because there's a lot of robberies that are happening there, and we need people to show up. How about we talk about all the women that are raped going to this club?
Well, and that's what I think is really well done with the Allison Brie character, is that even though she's a female and she was in med school with them and all that kind of stuff,
Right.
she has kind of the same opinion where she's like, well, she drank a lot, like
And that's what happens when you sleep around a
yeah,
lot. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Right.
And so,
Well, and then she wakes up in a hotel room with a guy, which I thought was one of the best parts of the movie
Yeah.
because and also her reaction to it, because she's not like, oh my god, okay, yeah, you're right, thank you so much for
No.
like bringing this to my attention. She's just like, hey, there's a video, I don't want you to ever talk to me again.
yeah, like that's messed up.
Yeah, like what you did to me
Well, I think that's
is
what
not okay.
is really good in the movie is that, yeah, you root for Carey Mulligan, but what she's doing isn't necessarily always right either.
Right.
When she
It's
frames
vintage- it's
Alison Brie
vintage.
and the dean,
Yeah.
what she's doing is borderline illegal and is not morally right. You
Telling
shouldn't be
the dean or daughter
Yeah.
is surrounded by men that are going to take
But
advantage.
that's
Yeah.
what I loved about the dean and the daughter. Like, I guess it is kind of the same as the Allison Brie character, but I thought even more so with the dean and the daughter, where I was like, wait, did she actually drop the daughter
yeah,
off somewhere or
because
whatever?
the editing and the cinematography is so
Yeah.
damn good.
And then she like tells her all this stuff, and she gets all worked up and yada yada yada, and then
Yeah.
she's like, oh, she's at some cafe over here,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
whatever.
Thinking
I
her
wouldn't do
favorite
that.
band
Yeah,
is,
what do you think I am?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think there's so much on the surface, but also under the surface that it I don't know. There's just so much done well. It's hard to like pinpoint like, hey, this is especially what I like about the movie because it's just like everything is done incredibly well.
Yeah, we have very small complaints.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
few
one or two
hiccups, but for
but-
the most part,
Yeah.
it dances around barbed wire all the while,
Yeah.
showing you a window into this world of how
I was
shitty.
happy to see it nominated for Best Picture.
Oh yeah,
I was surprised to see it nominated for Best
And
Picture.
because it did make you think of like you said, not that you like 100% were like, yeah, Carey Mulligan's character's doing the right thing.
no,
No, but you're rooting for her.
Right.
Yeah.
That it's so then it kind of like blurs those lines of like who to sympathize with or what you feel like is the right thing
Yeah.
or is the appropriate reaction or way
Yeah,
to
I
handle
would say that
situation.
the person that you probably feel the worst for that she kind of goes after is Alison Brie's character. Even
Yeah.
though she comes off awfully shallow and
Yeah.
jaded when she's like having lunch with her.
Yeah.
She didn't really do anything.
Right.
Like she didn't participate, like or
She
be
wasn't
in the room.
there, right.
You know, like she didn't stand up for her.
Yeah.
When she
And
should
she
have.
shared the video around. Yeah,
Oh, did she?
yeah.
Oh,
Well, she said that
was-
everyone got the video.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, but like that she was, woke up in this room married, thinking that she, gotten drunk and slept with some dude, and that's pretty, like imagine yourself waking up in a situation like that and not knowing what happened, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and then finding out that this person did it to you on purpose and, like made you worry about this for no reason.
Right. Except for that, I mean, then, it's like, yeah, I get your point. I get that you were saying, like, that what happened was not right, but yeah, she was.
Yeah, like you didn't need to show me.
Yeah. But maybe, obviously she,
I mean, it's like a genius thing to do.
Yeah.
But man, it's kind of evil.
no, it is evil. Yeah, I agree.
Like it's one of those things where you're just like, I don't know where to go
But
here. I
that's
don't
what
know
I-
how to feel about this
That's
right
what
now.
I also think I really like about the way they built that character is that she's doing these things that are like, that's whoa, bogus.
Did they-
But she's not actually doing things. Like she gets the guy to go up to her and take her to the hotel and put her in the bed, but she's doing that instead of saying like, hey, I'm gonna hire this guy to like
Right.
Right. Actually, like,
Well, I think that's the problem is if she had crossed that line, like literally hired the guy to sexually assault her, hired the guy to beat up Alfred Molina,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
it'd be like, yeah, I can't root for this person.
Right,
And that's
right.
that you don't want that in that in this movie that's
Oh no,
is telling a
they
story
balanced,
like
Yeah.
they stepped on that line perfectly.
Yeah, yeah, it was really nice.
Because it's like it's how they time certain things and set up certain things. They do the Allison Brie stuff at the exact moment they need to, setting it all up, and then she's calling her once or twice throughout the rest of the film, and then she shows up right after things are going really well for her.
Yeah, after
for
she,
once,
like,
like
is
right
kind
things
because
of
have
excited
shifted.
to
you
move
think that she's
forward.
going to have a normal life.
Yeah,
Right,
because
and you-
she gets
and
off
you've-
the
and
social
you've
media and she
Forgotten about Allison Brie's character in a lot of ways because all this other stuff is happening,
and kind of resolve it.
and then she shows up, and you're like, shit,
Yeah, and the other thing I mentioned is that I really love that they didn't actually show any part of the video.
Yeah, no,
Like,
it
not
makes it more
even, like,
impactful. Yeah.
Not even the start of it, or anything like that. Just having the sound and just seeing her facial reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't need to see the
No.
video to feel like how like
Yeah.
the video
and they've already
is.
explained just how bad it was to begin with, and
Yeah.
then to also have, because especially for her character who wasn't there,
Yeah.
to only know what she's been told and believed it,
Yeah.
but not really have known.
It's like the
And then
guy
to
who got
see it-
eaten by the bear, and there's like sound recording of
Oh,
it.
Yeah,
in
well-
Grizzly
And then
Man.
I
he
think he
says,
got rid of
"Don't
it.
ever listen to
Don't
it."
ever listen to this.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of like that, except for that she wasn't eaten by a bear.
No, but her friend did die.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think to reiterate that you can make art that provides social commentary and provides a unique perspective into an issue that is in the current state of things that needs to be addressed, and you can do it well, but when you do it almost not half-assed, but don't go all the way with it, you don't make it as serious as it needs to be, or make it as competently as you need it to be made, then that's when the message gets muddied, and that's when the audience kind of turns on
Well,
you.
you stop paying attention, right? Like
Yeah.
you start paying attention to the flaws of the film rather than the message. And when you're sitting there watching Promising Young Woman and you're going, I'm entertained and I'm feeling a lot of things for this character and her friend and this situation and these other people in the situation, and that's what film is for.
Yeah.
I mean, that not every film has to be that way. Obviously, that's very that'd be a little rough to watch films on a regular basis if
Right.
that was the case. But
Yeah.
I think it's really good that every once in a while something like that does come out with that style. Just like you said, like Three Billboards, where it's balancing that comedy and that drama at the
Yeah.
right moments.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to do.
Yeah. If you haven't seen Promising Young Woman, or if you haven't seen The Assistant, go watch them. They're not horror movies in the way that Lucky is trying to be, or the other movies we discussed on this podcast before. They are dramas. They are rough. They may be triggering if you've dealt with any of those issues, or if you are, people that have dealt. But they are important pieces. I mean, it sounds pretentious to say they're important pieces of art, but they are well-made films, and they
they are.
deserve to be seen. And I don't know. I think that that's the important thing, is that with this podcast, we watch a lot of crappy shit, but it's important to watch the things that do the thing well and recommend it. And even though we've spoiled pretty much all of it,
It's still great.
it's still great. And
And
it's
it's
still
cool
things
to
worth
that
have
I'm
a
watching.
sure there's
discussion
things that
about
we
it.
haven't-
And that's the cool thing, is like when you can take something like that and then you can like have a conversation,
Right.
so that you have the capability of not just making your own perspective and opinion from watching a film like that, but you can use it to help kind of like broaden your
Well, it's a great film is a great way to deliver a message that you couldn't do in different ways. It's a way to get to audiences that you couldn't in other ways. And that's what's really nice to see it being voted for Best Picture, even though it didn't win, it was nominated. And we all know that nominated films, anything that is included in the Oscars, gets a lot more attention. People will go back and watch that.
Yeah.
And so you've created a film that gets your message across, is entertaining. Now you're hitting a whole bunch of people that maybe would never watch that. And if that's some kid that is 16 and he's watching it and going, "Fuck!" Like, oh my god, I'm never gonna be that person.
And not in a graphic way either.
Look at what happened. Look at what happened to this. Like all this stuff because one guy needed to get off at a party at night. While he's in med school. Look at all the people he affected. And if you just have a few people watch that film and go, I don't want to be like that, or regret something they did do. I don't know. That's what the purpose of that is to just affect as many people as you can. And I mean, I don't think that there's any sort of counter argument to the message to say, oh, well, it's
unnecessary.
She's in the wrong, or what the
this problem isn't as pervasive as they say it is.
It is. I mean, that's just a fact, guys. It's global warming. It's a thing.
That's not global warming. It's climate change because people will say
the
things
Earth
get
is
cold.
round. It's not flat.
Right.
Sexual assault on women is far too common of a thing.
Yeah.
Well, and even what is considered sexual assault.
Mic drop. Well, that's a whole different discussion. We're not going into that.
But that is part of the
But you're right. You're right.
It is.
And that's why I like the movie identifies that is because not every person that she goes after gets the same punishment because of, well, he didn't technically do anything.
Yeah.
He brought her home and he was kissing her, but
Right. But what's consent and what's not consent? And
right.
all that
Which
kind of
is,
stuff.
those
That's
conversations
also
need to happen as well, and that needs to be identified because I feel like too often it's either it's all or nothing. It's like, well, this person
it just changes. Like it's like depending on the case,
right? And that's the problem too, is that a lot of this is case by case basis, and that can be a problem because then it gives people the benefit of like, well, we can just discount what the person said because we don't really know what happened, we weren't there, but by identifying it without having the same set of standards for each case, then you're able to give the nuance that it needs because not everything is the same. Especially, well, I mean, that's with a lot of crimes, it's very unique. We do have the standard of laws and the ways we prosecute things, but with sexual assault and with those kind of situations, it is important to look at it with a different take each time, or not necessarily a different take, but objectively, because if you go into it with a certain set of bias or a framework, then you're more willing to go with what the majority says than the truth.
Well, from the law standpoint, from our standpoint, I mean, the problem is that it's too ambiguous right now of like what is sexual assault, what isn't, what is consent, what isn't consent.
Yeah.
So then everybody has an opinion about it. I have an opinion. Everybody does.
Yeah.
Of what I think should be this. Where's the line? What is this?
Right.
Should this person? We've talked about it a bunch of times. What celebrity should have gotten punished more than another celebrity?
And that it can go
what
both
they
ways.
did is worse than another person.
Right.
Whereas there are people out there that will argue that sexual assault is sexual assault.
Right.
It's
Right.
one
Regardless.
big blanket.
Yeah.
And I wholeheartedly disagree with that, but that's just my opinion. Like I don't know. I don't know what it's actually like. So
but at the end of the day,
right
at least
now,
we're
my
having these
opinion.
conversations rather than just saying, well, this isn't a problem,
Right.
or
Or
this is
a problem.
all men are evil, or a percent of the population, they will always do this.
Yeah.
Okay, no, we can't have that conversation because that
always
doesn't make any
ways to
sense.
improve on stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Things
it's
that are
important
rampant.
to constantly question things. That's the most important thing, is because if you just take things as fact, or if you just take things as what you hear, then it just leads down a really bad road. So
Harry and Andrew have nothing to do, but they get real serious.
yeah, existential.
It depends.
Yeah.
It depends. That's why we usually normally
There's
stay to
nothing
horror
better to
films
do,
because
sorry.
Harry and Andrew have nothing better to do.
Nothing better to do
Episode
but dive real
8
deep
or
into the
something like that.
serious issues.
Normally we don't. But something about how bad Lucky was made Harry, thank God, go find a much better film.
Well,
and
I think
be
that's the
assistant.
important thing is if we had just said Lucky's terrible and we didn't have anything to back it up,
Right.
you're instantly labeled as somebody who's sexist or is
Yeah.
part of the problem, when that's not the truth. It's that
No, 'cause it's just a bad
It's just
movie.
a bad movie,
It
and
is.
it's
It is a
that's
bad
the
film.
important thing is
no
that
matter what your gender.
anytime a movie has a message, it's immediately declared as this higher art, which is not true. Every movie is subject to criticism. Doesn't matter even if we like them. We have to take, you have to identify what is quote unquote right or wrong with it.
Yeah.
So, no, feminism is great. The Me Too movement is great. We need to call out bad behavior for what it is and to punish people that deserve to be punished in, not the court of public opinion, but in the court of law.
And make it okay for people to have a voice.
Yes,
in those
absolutely.
instances.
Also, we need to call out movies for being bad.
Yes, that too.
Lucky, What Keeps You Alive?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Did we actually talk about that
No,
on the
I
podcast?
don't think
No,
you
I
did.
did. I made my video. That's
Oh,
all that
that's
we
right. You
needed.
made
Oh.
your own video. We didn't actually talk about it on podcast.
I don't even want to think about that anymore.
But
Anyway, no, Becky, thanks again for coming on
thanks
the podcast.
for having me.
This has been
Thanks.
great. We'll probably try to do this in the future again.
Yeah. We like having guests.
This is a lot easier. I don't have to talk as much.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Well, it's also longer.
yeah, that's true. We're batting at 2 hours.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could clip some of it out, right?
Just
Well,
the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. Well, that's been fun.
some point we'll-
like, subscribe, and share.
At some point, we'll talk about that movie that was suggested to us,
Oh, the cleansing hour.
The Cleansing Hour.
I have watched it. We will discuss it. We'll probably discuss it in a group of movies because, again, just because we don't like a movie doesn't mean that we don't like the person that suggested it.
Thank you for suggesting it.
Thank you for the suggestion.
More
There is-
suggestions.
Maybe the person that suggested it didn't even like it.
That's very
I
possible.
Don't know.
We don't know.
I don't
but,
know.
I'm glad I watched it because now I can add it to another film that I've watched.
It's on
because
a list.
How many movies have you watched at this point now that you've counted?
Since I've counted,
Yeah.
so it's been a little over 2 years. 752, I think.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How?
I think I've watched.
How do you enable this? How do you let this happen?
I don't.
She doesn't. She's working.
I don't. I'm living my life.
Yeah, she's got to do what she got to do.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks.
See you guys.
Bye.